series that they've played for the first time this year.
Yeah, that was a filthy combo there by Scout at the end. He ultis the Nexus, hops from one side of it to the other, spawns on top of the face of Jiachi, and, you know, just eviscerates him. Like, that was a really solid combo as well from the mid laner of JDG, and I think that's my MVP. I mean, he had 40% damage share. He was doing incredible work finding picks throughout the entire game, and kind of dancing around FPX as well.
I think I would agree. And again, this was a player that we were maybe criticizing is not the right word, but just wanting to see take that step back to where we know that he can be, right? We're not mad, we're disappointed. We expect more out of a player like Scout from all the pedigree that he's had. Again, 900 games, now 901 games in the LPL. If he's able to look like a superstar, this is how JDG are able to win, especially now that there's some more role players slotted in with Xiaoshu and Wink, who definitely did their jobs in this series, but you definitely need those stars to shine. Pays has looked good, very consistent throughout the year. We're needing Scout to get to that level as well. A good start here against FPX, but there's still more work to be done.
Yeah, and I will say as well, Pays a couple of picks, you know, him getting hit by that Galio taunt, walking back to mid lane, game number 1 as well, not flashing a Talia knock-up. There are a couple of instances where Pays is caught out in a little bit of trouble that we need to see tightened up, but here, your confirmation of your player of the game being Scout.
And as we said, pretty well-deserved, as in our first matchup of Milky Way's debut, return to Fun Plus Phoenix, a lot of that RNG roster kind of melding together. It's actually Xiaoshu coming out on top overall on JDG, with, of course, the help of the rest of his brand new team. As they jump up to 2-2 in the standings, FPX dumped down to 1-4. On JDG's side, though, road gets a little bit harder from here. They play against the defending champions AL next, followed by Waybo and BLG. So the way that they close out their first round robin, definitely a bit more on the tough side. But for Rude, this is a good way for them to try to build some of that momentum and try to now get some victories over these top teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if they can get themselves to a, 3-2, maybe ending this first round robin with just a positive win ratio, given that they have got some really difficult opponents coming up next, that bodes well for them. Maybe take advantage of the fact that AL are looking a little bit weaker than they possibly are going to be as we move into the later half of the split. There's definitely a world where JDG can find these wins, and I think that with Scout seemingly, or from this series as well, looking a little bit better off, if he can push forward and if he can have a strong impact in those future series, then JD have once again got every opportunity to take some series where they maybe weren't expecting to.
Yeah, and a roster full of stars here for JDG, able to really deliver this time around. Of course, Scout getting that player of the game nod to wrap up this first series of the day here on LPL English. Again, apologies for the slight technical error that resulted in our stream going down for a little bit. Hopefully, we'll be up and running for the remainder of the day. I won't be here, though. We're going to bring Mazel in for our second matchup. It's just Waybo versus Invictus Gaming to wrap up the LPL English here today. A brand new best of 3 begins right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Rude Dude. Thank you to Graves for coming in for that first half for a banger series. It did end up going a little bit of JDG's way, which may be a little breath of fresh air for some people. Maybe some casters that are on screen right now. But we're getting to our next series. We're getting to a banger, and Rude Dude, I couldn't be more excited. It's Waybo Gaming versus IG. A storied matchup, but also one that both teams really need to have a handle on.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at this series as a pretty big prelude to who can maybe look at that cutoff for the 4th, 5th position, I think. We've got 3 really solid teams with top AL and BLG, even though AL are starting out quite rough. Expectation is that they'll be able to steady the course and probably finish in that top 3. And then these 2 teams, for me, feel like the next contenders, right? Like, they're going to be the teams that are vying for the 4th, 5th cutoff, whether or not they'll have to play that play-in series or whether or not they'll get a free berth into the playoffs bracket.
And that's a big difference. It's a big difference. That's all I'll say. There's a life or death best of in there that goes thrown your way. Let's go ahead and talk about the first team, though. Let's talk about Waybo. Maybe not needing any introduction at this point, but we might do it anyways. It's a team that has really found itself in a way. There's been some lackluster moments. I mean, they just got absolutely trounced by BLG, but they have shown a lot of those connections that we were really seeking for them all of this year, Root.
Yeah, and I think that importantly, that connection has come from the mid jungle, where Tien previously had been a really solid jungler, but Xiaohu had not really been performing to the same level in 2025 that we've seen from him in years gone by. But split number 3 does feel like a completely different take from Xiaohu this time around, and actually that link up between Xiaohu and he has actually proven to be quite important and honestly quite instrumental in some of their victories.
Yeah, and you can see some of the downside of things. I think there's always going to be a question mark when things kind of break apart here. I think we haven't seen as much consistency from the bot lane that maybe we wanted. Although Chris' first series of things with them looked really good. I think sometimes they get a little bit lost in the sauce, and some of those team fighting aspects really come back to bite them. We saw that time and time again in the BLG series itself, and that's where some of these kind of downwards facing clips come through, because you have to reconcile with the fact that you just got blasted and you got a huge schedule coming through. You're literally facing BLG, then IG, then JDG, then top esports. I think that's something where you really need to have momentum.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy series or set of schedules for Waybo, and in particular when they just get a little bit obliterated by BLG, maybe expectedly with the way that they're playing recently, but even still, the fact that they are struggle, or that they did struggle versus BLG, I think that sets that expectation as to why we're viewing Waybo as not a top 3 team, and why they're in that cutoff for play-ins or playoffs. Because when we see them up against these really strong teams, unfortunately the answer is that they just get rolled.
And we've said it multiple times, and we'll talk about it as well with IG, but both these teams are vying for Worlds. It's like Worlds or bust. I mean, there are some heavy hitters in these rosters. I think even if you look at IG, some of the heaviest of hitters as we take a look at their roster as well. I think a lot can go into a lot of the statements that were said by Rookie and Co at the beginning of the year, but this is the moment to shine. This is the moment to come in and make good on the promises that you said when you were bringing this kind of super squad to IG, and Wei has been a good influence. It just needs to get better.
Yeah, it's not like Way's ever instrumental in the reasons that they lose this game. And he has won a couple of player of the games as well. I just think that we need to see that slight step up and continuation of that, because it feels like IG have had Way and Rookie a player who'd previously been so highly sought after as a mid laner, and even in last split number 2 was again very, very proactive, very important to IG's successes, as few as they may have been. But again, split number 3 has started, and Rookie's not quite been able to hit those same highs.
And we take a look back to FPX, and I mean, we could talk about this series as many times as we possibly want to. Yeah. We're going to take a little bit of an introspective look to this one, because I think it was a little bit of a microcosm of what has been going a bit awry with IG in some of their shot calling, some of the direction around the map itself. And I think that's something that I don't know if Wei necessarily fixed, but he has that kind of experience on RNG. And I think you can see some of those moments bubbling up for IG, but you have to have some more of that high level moment from Rookie coming through in these games, because this year he's been damn good on this team, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time he's the one picking a lot of the slack, but he can't also falter in some of the key moments, especially in Split 3.
Yeah, and I mean that's not helped by the fact that I would say as well that Gala has been a little bit inconsistent as well. Normally a player who you can rely on so frequently and so much really to provide success. But unfortunately there are just going to be instances where some people aren't quite living up to that hype, and that has been the case for IG in these early stages. I mean, Way missing that knockaway with the keeper's verdict, one of those things goes wide, and they probably save the game here if they're able to land that. It's these small parts of the game that are so difficult to sometimes in the moment put your hand or put your finger on and say that this is the issue, this is why we've had a problem. But for IG, they've definitely found a couple of those, and they're going to need to look to try and remedy them.
Well, you got to start remedying them now. It's a double round robin. We got to talk about the stakes coming through here and the way that things have played out between these two organizations. You see some of these starts. I mean, before 2025, I'm just going to say maybe IG looked like a completely different person, all right? Because they went out, they shelled the big bucks. They brought home some of the world champions that earned it with their name, and that's where you see a lot of the difference between 2024 and 2025. But Waybo had found consistent success for multiple years now, making it to Worlds Finals.
Yeah, and importantly as well, it's this qualification for Worlds that we're looking at, 2023 and 2024, where those things tend to be really important that you get to those internationals. But we have lists currently of our championship point standings, and yes, split number 3 has a much higher weighting, so split 3 is relatively important for where you finish and where you place. But we look at the two teams on our screen right now. IG actually, with their good playoff run, are sat in an upper bracket position for that qualifier, whereas Waybo, a team that again have so frequently run the bracket, are set in a position currently to do that again, where they would love to be, automatic qualification first of all. Let's just win summer and get ahead of ourselves. But more realistic output here is that they're going to end up between this 3 and 6 marker. And I'm looking at JDG, a team who are outside of that as well, that could very easily try to push themselves into, a higher position in this championship point standing.
I feel like there can be a huge run for kind of the 3rd and 4th spot going to Worlds, but it's crazy to think we get to send 4 teams, 4 big names, get to go to Worlds and contest for the LPL. And as I said before, right, these teams, it's Worlds or bust in a lot of ways. I think it'd be a very big shakeup of the rosters. I think we wouldn't maybe necessarily see these same rosters if they don't make it to Worlds, because that's why these teams were built. That's why they were put together. You can, not have success in Split 1, Split 2, whatever. Yes, the championship points would have been nice, but if you don't show out in Split 3, then it's all she wrote. And I think getting into this one, obviously it's early into the season, but you have to keep that in mind every series that we get. So now focusing on the draft for Waybo versus IG, I think we're going to see a very heavy prevalence of what these junglers are going to be getting early in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, so frequently currently it's just, triple jungle bans, quadruple jungle bans. There are so many being taken off the board, with Vi and Pantheon seemingly leading the way as the 2 premier picks that can't be given whatsoever. And then we have this sort of fallout a little bit lower down of your Wukong, Trundle, Xin Zhao, Poppy maybe making a little bit of an influx as well of play. But if we focus in on that mid lane as well, right, the Talia, the Azir have been 2 really big picks that are maybe being given, maybe not being given over. And as well as when you think about IG, rookie so frequently a playmaker, something like the Aurora, something maybe even like a LeBlanc, if we're going a little bit more out of left field, is something that is within the wheelhouse of this IG composition. And I mean, how many times did the Shy play AD Nidalee last split, right?
True.
Like this is a roster of players that trying to predict the draft for is really difficult, because they can just throw in these curveballs.
And that's where you kind of go to the nature of the players. And I think Xiaohu has adapted his nature in a lot of ways. I mean, this man used to run side lanes. I mean, there's a reason why he was so successful on a lane swap of top to mid, or mid to top and back to mid. It's incredible what you can do if he finds that power in the side lane, but that's where some of those picks from the Shy do provide that pressure, and I want to see if we're going to get a little bit of that tonight. But that mid lane matchup, I think that's the real deal tonight. I think Xiaohu has been showing up a lot more consistently than we had seen in Split 1, Split 2. Is it the summer Sabertooth coming in here for us and Rookie on the other side trying to get back to that state where he was literally like winning games for IG when they were finding success, especially in Split 2. So that mid lane matchup has a lot of spotlight on it tonight.
Yeah, and I think for Waybo as well, this is a really important series because they've played the 2 losses that they have are up against Top Esports BLG, who are currently all both undefeated. They've got this series now up against IG, which is theoretically quite winnable for them, and then they've got a series a little bit later on against JDG, who, you know, again, a team that have got their ups and downs. A 5-2 regular season or first round robin is a very good position to find yourself in as Waybo, and I think that they are in a pretty decent position to be able to do that if they can take this game up against IG. Again, a series with 2 teams who have yet to taste international success or taste international presence this year.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up, and I love that we talked about the championship points and stuff earlier, because you got to remember, Group Ascent is different this split, right? You lose those 2 teams that snuck in, that made it in there, and maybe were some free wins for some teams, but now it's all big teams. It's all big names. You have to make sure you find that consistency somewhere. We are going to have typical bans in this first game, at least. It's going to be the Vi, the Azir, and the Gwen from the blue side, from IG rather. Waybo are going to be banning away the Varus and the Trundle on red side already, and the Rumble as well.
Pantheon is open. That has not been the case for any series that I've ever watched, and as we would expect, gets snapped up nice and quickly.
Instantly.
The Xin Zhao, the most likely response, and you can take the Taliyah here as well. So you've got a decent duo in that mid jungle, and that's what we were highlighting for Waybo as something that we want to see from them. Can you punish and can you make the most of this pick?
Yeah, don't worry about the LeBlanc cover. It's fine. It's the Taliyah that I'm really wanting to focus on, because I think Xiaohu will have a lot of mobility on the champ. He obviously has played it a lot recently, but also in split number 2 as well. And his combination is going to be really important in that level 6 range once they do lock that in. I do wonder if we go with some of that mini ball delivery system here for IG, and they will lock in the Orianna.
It's proven to be just the answer to Taliyah, as in you can keep a little bit of range, you can have pretty decent impact in these team fights as well, and you don't have to trade auto attacks with the Taliyah to have that pretty big laning advantage. So not the worst thing for Rookie, and I expect to see big things from him as well with those shockwaves. The Scion gets locked in, so for Waybo, with Rumble and Gwen both taken off the board here, we are dipping into those slightly lower priced top lane picks. Maybe things like Jax, Yorick could be taken if you want to go for some side lane pressure for Breathe, but he's also proven to be one of the better and better players that we have in the LPL, and somebody who will default to it as well. It feels like Ambessa either is picked and banned or he just goes through a draft. It depends on the top laners that you have, but Breathe certainly one of them that is going to try and make that pick. For Waybo, this completely identifies their composition as wanting to dive. You have Xin Zhao, you have Ambessa. You want to go forward and find that backline access. Things like Kai'Sa Nautilus, Kai'Sa Alistair are now going to shoot up in priority, and especially for Light, one of those players who's really solid on Kai'Sa, denying it from Gala, a very solid Kai'Sa player. Would love to see this pick either banned away from either side just to remove it out of contention, or to try and enable this Waybo composition. You've got to think of things like Sivir and Jhin as well that are typically really good at enabling that dive.
Yeah, and I do like some of these bans coming through as well. The Poppy ban to really take that away, that denial away, as well as that supportal focus for IG. It's going to be the Senna ban as well from Waybo in the last ditch effort.
Yeah, maybe would have thought that they'd go for the Braum here, but the Senna is the option that they've elected to. Wouldn't be surprised if IG look for a Braum pick. They've still got Lucian available as well if Waybo want to go for a really like early to mid-game composition.
Not anymore.
Nope, gets banned away, and I think that's a smart move by IG, because they've got so much control over this 1 to 2 item spike timer anyway, that if they'd have given the Lucian as well, that'd be quite dire in terms of how they want to go for it. But with Waybo currently locking in that Alistair, we've got things like Rel, which are immediately sort of countered by this Alistair, but I think that Braum here just makes a little bit of sense if you want to try and play a little bit further back and protect your backline as well.
I could see that. It gives a little bit of follow through as well.
I
want to see the Kai'Sa come through on one of these teams. I think she fits so well on both sides, being able to follow through on a lot of what they're looking for, though. But as you say, a little bit of a stark contrast. IG have more flexibility in their composition, as well as some of that peel ability, whereas Waybo are kind of just really looking for that forward momentum.
Yeah, and I think that this now, I mean, there should just be Nautilus coming through for Mako, and they're just deciding what they want to answer, or really giving time for Waybo to decide which AD they're going to answer with. I don't mind Jhin, but I think that Jhin versus Kai'Sa outside of the lane gets really tricky, and, you know, Light has proven to be one of these players that can sometimes be a little bit caught out.
You're talking about the Rel not having a good time. It's going to be locked in anyways for Mako. He says, I'm pulling the Chad move.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you think you've got it in you, absolutely go for it. It's not going to be the easiest laning phase, but if we're looking at how this fits with the composition, that's a second person to put a ball on, that's another person to follow up on the Sion, on the Pantheon. And again, we talked about the Waybo comp being very dive-focused. IG can do the exact same thing. They've got 4 champions that want to get into the backline, and they've got an Ori ball to support them in doing it.
It's the Spider-Man meme, but with just dive comps for a game number 1 between IG and Waybo. I think it's going to have a lot of chaos in it. I do expect this series to go to 3. I don't know how you feel about it, Rude Dude, but both teams are going with
champions that Waybo have don't quite fit with the style that they want to play. The Talia finds it a little bit more difficult to dive forward. The Sivir, again, can enable her team to go forward, but finds it difficult to do herself. So they may end up creating this situation where actually they need to sit back, they need to play safe, and their champions don't necessarily enable that style.
Well, I wanted to see this mid-jungle duo come to life for both sides tonight. Consecutive good moments, consecutive plays together, and we're going to get that in this game number 1. We have the Pantheon-Orianna combo. We've got the Talia locking in to be able to move out of that mid lane for Xiaohu, and it's a game 1 that should set the tone for a second best of 3 of the night. We're getting a little far in this double round robin. I know we still got a lot of games, but it comes faster than you think, and I know Waybo and IG have their sights at the end of the road on that world spot, but they got a lot of opponents to get through, and we're going to start with Waybo versus IG. Game 1, second best of 3 of the night, as the Jayos come through.
That's what I'm after.
There we go. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. The first series of the day, we were lacking a little bit. Yeah. Me and Grapes, we were just sat here, and you know, we were kind of sad. However, I've been enlightened here as IG and Waybo give us a good little chant to get us underway. We'll note that quick little ward take. Pretty decent advantage over to Waybo. 5 gold can win you a game. Complete slash sarcasm, by the way, in case anyone didn't any of that. But
yeah, that's what I type in my flex Q games.
Yeah, getting the tracking down early though is good.
It is. They will not get that ward anyways. They're gonna heavily contest over this level 2 here. Trying to get some pushing power, but both junglers gonna be starting on the top side of the map, pathing down towards bot. Breathe. Had taken that very, very big health trade earlier on the Shine. The Shine might take the better of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the product of getting that ward at level 1 at the Raptor Pit was that the Shy was able to walk into Tribrush, get a channel Q onto Breathe, and get this early advantage onto the Ambessa. Now we've reached level 2 though, and theoretically landing a Decimating Smash onto an Ambessa shouldn't ever be too easy because of all the dashes and the mobility that this champion has.
And I love it because we can take a little bit of a microscope to this top lane matchup because their roles are very different. I mean, the Shy is going to be that frontliner, be that kind of mountain to hide behind for a lot of IG, or at least to go behind under these dives. Breathe is going to be the ticket forward for them. If he can find backline access, he'll have extreme strength in these fights.
Yeah, and getting onto Rookie, there's not really a tool for the Orianna to get away from an Ambessa. I think that Shockwave plus Dissonance does a certain amount of work, but with the amount of dashes that Ambessa has, I'm not sure that it will be enough. We'll keep our eyes out there. We can wait and see as a little bit of mismatch on maybe what they want to do as the spot lane duo. Crisp, they're trying to pull the wave, like continue to hit it, but not too sad about how any of these lanes are going, and we haven't really had a chance to look at that mid wave, but currently looks like Rookie is getting the better of Xiaohu, just looking at those HP trades and the advantage that comes from that. I wanted to highlight that this mid lane matchup was the one that we wanted to focus on. It's very important for this series and very important for the stories of these players as well. Should CTN be able to get out here as there's a
secondary to that is the jungle, and Wei is trying to hunt down Tien. We got to see bot lane movement. Tien has got to be calling for Crispin Light, but it's not going to be enough. The flash! Tien is going to go down. That is a 2v1 play for IG.
And that's cunning from Rookie in the mid lane. The fact that the Orianna can move first because of the bullying that he's done onto Xiaohu is the reason that this Ori can make that play happen and give way first blood. It may be the junglers that come out on top of it, but it's enabled by the presence of these mid laners.
That is exactly what we wanted to see, Rude. That's exactly what the combination that is needed from IG had to be pulled off, and especially early, because now that means that Way is going to have resources. Way now has the tunneler as he comes back out on the map, and he can have a lot of influence.
An extra 300 gold goes a long way for these junglers. First clear normally only good to grab you a ruby crystal and a longsword, but coming back out with that fully fledged component definitely looks a lot better in the inventory. As we were talking about the fact that it's these mid laners that are making the difference here, and interestingly enough, it's Xiao who's been getting the better of in this particular series, where previously he'd been a player in this season, in this split in particular, who'd really been showing off, really been performing quite well, but at least in this game number 1 up against Rookie, somebody who is so powerful and such a mid lane talent, that apex of Xiaohu's gameplay is starting to come a little bit lower here.
See if he can rev that back up here on the Talia. Going to be getting level 6 here soon, so the Weaver's walls will start to come down. Going to have a lot of influence on the map with that, as Dragon is up. We do have Grubs coming up in about a 2.5 minute timer. Looks like IG, they want to use that tunneler spike. They want to use some of this info with the scanner to get a bit of a gank on Tien. No, Tien, no! They're in the bush! Oh no, the double CC chain, and that spear is going to be aimed right at the heart of Waybo. Way will get his second kill in just 6 minutes.
And it's the laning advantages from IG and then the synergy between Way and his supporting cast. Rookie able to move for first blood. Dive top!
Oh, breathe. Goes for the solo. Bolo misses the Q. That's unfortunate. Fight's still kicking off. That Way is a little bit worse for wear in this fight. He uses the shield, but the seismic shove, the damage from Xiaohu will be enough. Shockwave in on the Light. Light is not going to go down just yet. Mako will end up flashing over the wall and getting away.
It's a little bit too close to the sun there for Way, and the kill going into Xiaohu's back pocket, going to be pretty useful for the Talia to do a little bit of catching up. Was down a little bit of gold, about a wave of experience as well. But looking at how that was all being played out, it's because Gala's gone up to this top side, the Shy TPing down to this bot side as well. They thought that they'd have a little bit more time using the power of this level 6 Scion to actually ingress to the bot side jungle. Not the case though. A good collapse from Waybo, overstep from Invictus Gaming, which does get punished. Do think that trying to make a play onto the Shy is going to be pretty tricky. If Breathe had have found that first kill under the turret, maybe it's possible, but the fact that the Shy lives there means he gets to go back to base, pick up full plethora of HP, and could be absolutely fine.
I'm surprised they stuck around for this, but Chris actually finds a really nice flash play.
Yeah, and just a little bit too long. It's good communication as well, I will then say, by Invictus Gaming, as it's once again Way trying to find Tien.
He gets the heal spellbook from Mako. They get the unstoppable onslaught too. Oh, Tien just doesn't get to play the video game. Look at him, he's smiling. He knows he is the solo giver of the feats of warfare.
And this isn't a champion that scales amazingly into the late game as well. I think that time and time again, we've talked about the lack of Xin Zhao power as we move later on, the difficulties that you may run into as this champion. Going 0-3 early on, not indicative to a successful outcome for Tien in particular. There's an element of it being him stepping a little bit too close, not respecting his lane or where his laners are and what they can do. There's an element of his laners are getting bullied, so they can't help him, and it's one of those repetitive cycles where is it the jungler's fault because his laners are getting slammed, or is it the laner's fault because the junglers don't recognize that they're getting slammed?
Yeah, it's always a tough. You need to look inside of yourself for the answer to that one. Sometimes that's the best course of action. Unfortunately, I don't think Tien would find anything there right now.
He's on food stamps at the minute. He's 0-3-0 and getting killed whenever he goes into his own jungle. So.
And now Dragon has gone down. We're going to see Grubs go down. There's no contesting. There's no real fight being able to be there for Waybo. Maybe trying to come in here for a little bit of a last gasp effort. They are going to get one of them at least with the move from Crisp and Light from mid lane. With some of these lane assignments, Waybo were able to use some really good macro decision to get this grub.
Yeah, so it was IG who'd initially pushed in a couple of waves early on, and then the fact that Waybo have to catch those waves and then can move in afterwards gives the chance for Waybo to contest the final grub. It's still going to be the notch on the objective marker going to IG, putting them in a very good spot for this early game. And as far as snowball compositions go, IG have got a very, very good one. Their ability to push the envelope and extend how fast this game's going is very, very high, as Waybo walking into this top side jungle. They will find a blue buff and are able to
have the vision there on Mako, knowing that they can be a little bit aggressive here. I do love that they moved in as a team to steal that away from Way. Way will just immediately go to his bot side and start clearing that out, but there won't be any objectives coming up for the near future. So right now, we just go back to farm fest, and I gotta ask you in that way, who does it benefit? I mean, we have this kind of early momentum from IG, but things are dead even here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, Waybo still have a really easy to execute composition as we move later. I think that, or rather for IG, I would say, have this really easy to execute composition. Like, they just look at a target, ult it with Sion, and then should theoretically die. There's not too many tanky people other than the Alistar with the Unbreakable Will. And I think that the way Waybo's composition plays in the late game is much more difficult to think about, right? If Tien goes in, he's 0-3, he's going to get blown up. If Breathe goes in, it needs to be really synced up, and it's going to rely on like that crisp engage, specifically from this Alistar, to enable for Tien and Breathe to get in on that same timer. Because the second that IG are grounded and are then able to play the fight out themselves, I think they start to come back out again. If there's a good CC chain, Waybo can win, but I do think IG have a really good position in this game. Not just because they can snowball really well, but because their comp is really easy to execute as well.
And I feel like ease of execution is such an undersold factor in game ones, especially in best of threes, best of fives as well, but it's so important to have that kind of ease of execution. Ease yourself into a series, give yourself the kind of lowest bar to reach in that case, and obviously it still takes some sort of level of execution, but it's very interesting to see the differences in game number one approaches from different teams. But we are looking at some approaches to first items for majority members. We already had that Unipulse completed for Light. You got the Sundered Sky for Way. I will say Gala's going to be a little bit behind the curve on that first item because he did stop off for the culling, but we'll be close to that anyways, and the Kai'Sa is going to feel a little bit better at that spot.
Yeah, it's going to hit that 2 items on about the same time you'd like to think, but like you say, taking a bit of a pit stop early on to make sure that there's a little bit of readier cash injection through the mid game.
So OP. Are you a Cole lover?
I buy Cole every time I play ADC.
Well, Breathe, he's not going to be able to buy Cole, and he's not going to be able to do much here. Does have a little bit of fancy feet trying to get his way out. The Shy's going to commit for it, gets the flash out. Way wants to commit. The Shy is trying to tank. He's going to die. The Shy dies. They don't get Breathe, and that's a failed dive from IG.
Takes one turret shot too many, and I think the Way needs to back off. Mako now in trouble. Great timing.
Waybo turning up the heat and firing up the oven. Xiaohu gonna have to flash away from Rookie as well. Light gonna try to hit him with the TP. On the hunt. Rookie's gonna TP. He's gonna make it out. He can't do any CC, and Light can't stop the man from taking his exit.
So a 1-for-1 across the map. A bit of a botched play really on the top side from Way and the Shy. He takes just one turret shot too many. I think that the Ambessa, never really too fearful. It was a great flash to dodge away from the empowered spear of Way. But the fact that Tien is making plays and is still in this game is a bit of a miracle to me, to be honest. But Waybo started up this dragon. They're not going to commit to it. They instead take the crab and back away. Breathe has got teleport, so if they want to commit to this Drake play, it is possible. We were talking about first items earlier, Mazel, and they've now been finished up for Waybo, so they are in a good position to find a fight.
Oh, Chris looking for the preemptive fight on but Away gonna lock him down, but Tien was a little bit late behind the play, and now Crisp does have to use the headbutt Away. They lose a lot of their forward momentum here from Waybo. They're gonna TP. They're gonna bring in Breed. Is it gonna be a 50-50 for the smite? No, he's gonna let it go, and Way gets smashed by the Shy. Mako's gonna try to make his way out. The Shy's gonna flash, but he has no exit. He has no tools. They're gonna need to fight this one in the pit. They're trying to chase down Light. Light flashes away. Meanwhile, in the pit, the Shy is still tanking everybody. IG want to collapse, want to try to get Tien, want to try to get Breathe. Tien goes back over on Mako. Mako's getting low, but he's not going to go down. Tien's can't get anybody. Waybo are flashing to the hills. They're flashing for their lives, but Rookie, he's trying to hunt them down as well. They might have their Hunter garb on, maybe some cosplaying from IG. Light can't do. Oh my gosh, Light doesn't go down. Rookie falls in the end. The Shy ends up finding Tien, and Mako will fall to the rest of Waybo. Okay, Gala gonna chase him down now with an unstoppable onslaught. Doesn't hit, it goes into the wall. That was a cluster and a half. Okay. And it's 5-5 now in kills.
So, a 2-for-2 in that skirmish. The worst fight that I've seen today, just by far. That was
wild.
So crazy on so many different levels that these teams are finally getting to their understanding of what they needed to do in a situation, but just getting there way too late.
No way.
So Breed TP's in, he has no ulti, so he's just an Ambessa walking around. The Shy flashes and stays in the pit, I think wisely, because he knows that he can just tank them for so long, and if his team can collapse, they can find this fight quite easily. But Rookie walks this long way. He's getting a little bit zoned out by the Alistar. Doesn't want to get knocked up in case he gets killed, but misses a couple of spells on the side here. Shockwave lands onto Tien of all people, who, you know, we'd highlighted 1 and 3, not a particular threat. And then we see this weird mash of people trying to disengage. Tien ends up falling on the top side. He tries to steal some wolves, but again, he's pretty much dead there as soon as he has to go that way anyway. And then Crisp sends Mako back into the gulag. There are a lot of weird things happening in this, and the fact that Waybo, you know, come out 2-for-2 in it, honestly, the fact that either team doesn't just randomly lose much more than they should have done feels
I'm glad
appropriate.
you came to the same decision, or like at least same readability as me. A lot of weird things happen there. There's a perfect moniker for that. But hey, when the dust settles, you have 2 dragons for IG now, so you can really build off of that, and there's a lot of focus around this topside Rift Herald now.
And a fan of the fact that IG were able to get those 2 Drakes. Yes, do I think that they should have come away with more from that fight? Absolutely, but the fact that they've got that early game advantage, and that they've got, you know, the feats of warfare, the feats of objectives as well. They're in a good position, and you know, this is, you know, a relatively weak point, I will say, for Gala in particular. This 1-item spike for the Kai'Sa, not necessarily the greatest. Yes, we've got Q Evolve now with that pickaxe being picked up, but you really want the Ginsus and honestly the Nash's Tooth before you are, you know, in a good position to start trying to take these fights. And the fact that IG are using the Pantheon, the Scion, the Ori, their presence in the early to mid game to buy time for Gala is a really big opportunity for IG and a really good boost to their chances in this game.
And for IG, you want to see more of those see champion, kill champion plays. You want to see them a little bit more on the front foot in some ways in that regard, and see if they can kind of keep that up. But does things change, really, when we get to that second item spike here for either team?
I mean, not necessarily. I think that it's more so how the compositions end up getting played out, right? That the IG just need to find a target and need to kill them, and Waybo need to stop that from happening, but their composition again highlighted it. It's not the best at doing that.
Way is just going to be fully logged down. They're going to TP, try to save him. He does have a really nice shield block there, as well as the turret was doing some work on a Crisp. Unbreakable will be down, as well as his heal. A little bit of movement from IG over to this Rift Herald now that Crisp could use a lot of his plays.
Yeah, he's got no ulti, he's got barely any HP as well. Would like to see IG trying to contest the tier 1 though. Don't want them to just give this up for free, as the Shy is trying to clear the wave, but Light should be able to clear this tier 1 turret in exchange for the Herald. It's about if they can get out afterwards, and looks like they can. So Waybo are going to get this tier 1 turret. IG have got the Rift Herald, which I don't even know is going to get them a tier 1 turret. Looking at the HP of that mid lane, it does look very healthy. I think that's a good win for Waybo, to be honest. The fact that they had no Alistar as well, I definitely think IG could have looked to contest midway push and then look for the Herald afterwards and maybe try and find a fight around it.
See that gold lead there, very dead even between the carries, at least that are proposed right now for both teams, but a little bit of a consistent 1,000 gold lead for Waybo as they work their way around the map. Now there will be another dragon spawning. This would be soul point for IG. You can already see some redeploys from Waybo toward mid lane with Light to try to get some pressure there, at least some push.
Yes, he doesn't finish the Infinity Edge, which is really big for this Drake fight in particular, but not too bad afterwards.
That hit? That's crazy. Rookie just gets half his health taken. Breach is going to flash onto him. Grand Starfall comes in. Now they want to try to pull the play back. He doesn't have Shockwave, but he has damage, and he has Gala, his right-hand man. And they will take down Breathe, but give the Dragon.
Yeah, so they'll give the Drake, but look at what they're going to get on this top side. Tier 1, they can maybe even look to push for a Tier 2 as well. They're going to send Rookie into the mid lane to catch that wave. Maybe a little bit ambitious to go for the Tier 2 turret here, but they'll get at least another wave on this top side, which is going to be denied. And they're not going to lose out on any minions across the rest of the map either. So a good heads-up play by IG. And, I was a little bit curious as to whether or not the Orianna was going to be able to do enough to get away from an Ambassador on top of her. And turns out the phase rush is that hidden X factor that I'd not put into consideration, as it actually means Rookie's able to kite out Breathe, even though he got locked up under the turret and suppressed by the ulti. So it puts a really good spot in.
Well, we see the Rift Herald got a charge off at least. Good job, Shelly. That's all she got, though. That's okay.
That's what I was saying. They lost the Tier 1 turret for this. It feels a little bit rough that they didn't get anything with that Rift Herald when they lost their mid-Tier 1.
We'll see if now there's going to be a little bit of tussling over space, I guess. I mean, Anaconda is coming up in 10 minutes, or 10 seconds, rather. I don't think that's a objective either team are really going to be contesting immediately. We'll see Vision contested over at least. And Waybo, they're hovering his bot side. Way and Neko need to be a bit careful.
This is, like we say, this is the time where the Kaisers come online now, where we've hit this 2-item spike, so her solo DPS is really big, so she will cut through the Atakan. And importantly, Light didn't get that Infinity Edge. That call that we talked about has been sold, and we've got the investment from it as well. So now IG, they fancy their chances.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually such a huge payoff. They got to make it work, though. We talked about execution being the name of the game. They are split. They're going in. That's the way. Smite securing the Atacon. Meanwhile, afterwards, Gala goes on the backline. Gala goes for Light. Gala finds his mark, finds his man, and it's another certified Gala moment as Breathe trying to run down Rookie. Rookie shields up with his Seraphs, and now Breathe has to face the bodyguards of Sir Rookie as IG melt Waybo down.
And getting onto the Sivir is so easy as the Kaiser. You have one bit of CC, land one W. The second you can get access, the Sivir has no recourse. There is no way that a 1.5 item Sivir can fight that 2-item Kaiser in any state. So Light, despite his flash, despite his barrier, ends up going down because Gala just responds with his flash of his own. And now we see the mid-tier 1 get focused, the bot tier 1 get focused as well. The fact that IG were able to get the Atacon on top of all of this is such a big boon for them. It means that their ability to kill one target and then turn that into a full team fight actually becomes a lot more improved. Because previously the drawback for this composition would have been that they're very good at killing that first target, but afterwards they may lack a little bit of power. But now with the Atacon in their back pockets, they've got a little bit more that they're able to go through. But I want you to look top side. Rookie, double shockwave onto Light. It gives free access for Gala to get into that backline. I was thinking, how on earth did Gala ever get a mark of plasma onto it? It's Rookie on this Orianna who's popping off.
And as soon as Tien sees that killer instinct come in, that's one of those like, oh man.
Yeah.
And he's just so far away from his carry. And really beautifully played there from IG, pulling apart the composition of Waybo.
And with those 2-item spikes now being hit for Waybo, there's the opportunity for them to maybe be able to take a fight. But again, how easy it is for IG is that they just see somebody and then they can just look to jump on them. They have 4 champions that are excellent at diving and that can make easy access, for Gala to follow up.
And I love that you talked about it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just that Waybo started putting their eggs in their own basket now as they try and take this tier 1 turret with a bit of vision on the bot side.
So go ahead and get them some ranch hands. We'll see what happens. The biggest thing is, we literally talked about it earlier, is like this composition is pretty snowballable, if that's even a word.
Yeah.
And I really love that they're utilizing that. I mean, this lead is ballooned all of a sudden to almost 3,000 gold for IG. It's still slim pickings in some ways. I mean, like you were saying, if Waybo find that right execution, it matters the most. But another dragon is coming up, another opportunity for a soul point for IG.
Yeah, and we look across, you know, at where these advantages have been given over. Maybe it's some of the mistakes from Waybo as well. You know, like not spell shielding a shockwave, costing him his life in a team fight where, you know, same to be said on the top side, Breathe going for a fight in the top lane up against an Orianna when he doesn't know the follow-up that IG can put down. These are unforced errors by Waybo that are, unfortunately, at this stage, a little bit characteristic of their brand and costing them in this game number 1. It's on Zhao, who 2-0 and 1 on the Talia, who so far had a pretty decent game, is actually still keeping pace with his opponent to try and wrestle something back from this team fight, to try and wrestle a position in this game that Waybo can leverage into a win.
A little bit of, I guess not old head lore, but 2023, 2024 Waybo, their moniker was always consistently inconsistent. And they earned that moniker. But then they did incredible things and made it to World Finals one of those years. And, you know, it's an incredible thing what Waybo can do when they're on. But when they are off, you see some moments that maybe you'd want back from a team that has so much veteranship, or at least veterancy. Breeze looking for the play on the Mako. A little bit of setup in mid lane, but that's all that's really on the map right now. I mean, Baron's coming up in 20 seconds. About 2.5 items on light, but I don't think that's enough to really burn it down. And IG, you want to go fishing.
One of the small things that you always want to think about when you're playing against the Sivir is how clumped is the enemy composition going to be. Well, 4 divers, they're quite likely to be quite closely packed. Light, if he hits that 4 or 5 item spike, could do big things in a team fight, but at the minute he's not got the ability to cut through the Shy, and he's not got the ability to take a 1 versus 1 versus Gala. So this Sivir, you know, as strong as it looks with these 2.5 items, is not quite in a position to turn on and completely carry without some really big misplays from IG.
I love it. Both teams feeling the kind of tension in the moment, both kind of watching each other in that mid lane, drawing lines of scrimmage, as that ward's actually getting so much value right now for Waybo. We'll see kind of the point stand that IG are taking around this Baron pit, but really it's all about a game for vision here right now, because there won't be another dragon for about 3.5 minutes. But we're getting closer and closer to that 3 item spike where we were talking about some of the leeway that Waybo's going to have as they get scaling.
Yeah, and maybe they can utilize a little bit of that. Shockwave pulls back Crisp.
That's many smash in. Xiaohu's going to be there. Does have all the tools to save Crisp on his way out. That will be the Unbreakable will burn, though.
Yeah, and whether or not they can leverage that into a Baron start is a completely different question. I tend towards no, to be honest. It's probably going to be quite tricky for them to do that without Shockwave, but looking at Gala, he's finished that Nash's Tooth now, so that is 3 items online for Gala. We've got not long until Wei has Guardian Angel picked up as well, and Mako here playing very aggressively in the face of
5 level difference, by the way. Priest's going to shred him. Into the Baron pit he goes. Nice little crash down there. Obviously the supports definitely need to be a little careful in these moments. I feel like if they do get picked out, at least they can get completely taken down very quickly with the way that these comps work out. And I want to go back to some of the conversation we had in draft about the kind of dive orientation, especially for Waybo. Does that still come into effect, or did we kind of miss the window for some of that?
I think that they slightly pivoted away from it, where they took this Ambassador and went very heavily for dive, and then they just been outdove, it almost feels like. Yes, they can dive into IG, but who are they diving onto? A Kai'Sa who's going to go into your backline? The Orianna's the only real target that they can look for, and Rookie already has proven that he's done a pretty good job. I do think that for Waybo to succeed, they probably want to just pick off Gala or pick off Rookie pretty early on into a team fight and use that dive in that way, but I think that it's really tricky for Waybo to get a good dive going because it relies on the damage from Breathe and TM, because Xiaohu and Light can't access that backline, and that's why I've said that it's so much more difficult for Waybo, because they have these diving champions, but they don't have the diving damage that they need to get through the HP bars of IG.
We'll see which team becomes the Olympic diver and which team becomes the kid washing them in the kiddie pool. Or the shallow end. You know, it doesn't always have to be the kiddie pool. They are hovering around the Baron right now, and they want to start it. I mean, Gala is a monster right now on 3 items with that Astro Tooth completed, and you see him putting in work onto that big purple worm. As Chris trying to body his way into this one. Tien looking for his angle in the back end. Does have vision on it. He's going to have to smite it. Tien doesn't get it. Wei denies him again. Tien has been off his smites all game long, and now he's going to have to flash out. Chris goes in by himself. Bree tries to get the pick on the Wei, but Wei is biting him every single time. The decimating smash hit, but it's the public execution.
Oh, Gala!
He finds Light again. Gala had his name on a poster and he was throwing darts at his eyes. Light has nothing left and Gala has made it an ADC diff.
And that is going to be the Baron. It's going to be mid-inhibitor turret at the very minimum, and it's going to be Soul, if not the game here, Mazel. They've got 30 seconds on Xiaohu, on Breathe, Light as well. IG, how much do they want? The Shy's tanking the turret so that the minions don't die. I think they'll probably just settle for an inhibitor plus the Soul. They're in such a good spot here, Mazel, that they don't need to, you know, throw the game by going for an end here. IG, a clinical fight around the Baron. Tien jumps in. He's not quite able to out-contest the Q smite from a fully charged Pantheon. And Wei here, so happy to use his body on the line because he knows that he can just get in there. And Gala spotting out Light. W1, and you know, Light at this point, what do you even do? You just get absolutely chewed through by this Kai'Sa. You cannot possibly match the DPS. And you know, you're Xiaohu in this spot, you're thinking, how on earth have we lost an entire team fight and Rookie still hasn't used his ult? Like, the game is so beyond chalked for them at that point that you just feel pretty rough.
And part of you wants to remember, part of you wants to see this IG Kai'Sa skin on Gala. But what reigns true for me through all of this, you can talk about the skin, you can talk about the legacy this pick has for IG, but it's Gala's pick. He is the Kai'Sa in the LPL, and every time he gets it, it just feels like he is built different. As Chris just getting something built towards his way. Decimating smash, he might go down. Grand Starfall in the back line as well. Xiaohu is the focus. The Shy is still untouched under 4 members. And Gala is running rampant. IG want to make good on that loss to FPX, and they want to make good on this series. They're going to start off with a 1-0 lead over Waybo as they look to try to take down Breathe one more time. Gala still survives. Goes golden with his Seekers. GG's IG.
And it started with picking out Tien 3 times in the first 5 minutes. And it ends with Gala destroying Light. Twice, 2 massive team fights. The Kai'Sa ulties onto the Sivir. Means that you can never get those massive ricochets, completely separating off the AD carry from Waybo and making Light's life miserable. It's Gala Kai'Sa that you so frequently have to talk about. We talked about it in the draft. We're going through that second round of bans, and I'm saying, this Kai'Sa pick, you have a good dive comp, take it. You need to. And you know, there's a reason that we make those points, and there's a reason here that we get to see a punish from IG.
It was a classic Gala experience on Kai'Sa, and honestly an IG that looked really, really ready to handle this schedule they have coming up. I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, this team is looking to make good on what happened in Split 1, Split 2. Wasn't the finishes they wanted, even though we saw some good moments from them. But it's really nice to see the cohesion that this team showed in game number 1. It could be a fluke, it could just be a one-off, but this is the IG that can really put a terrifying mark in the top of the LPL.
It absolutely is, and I think that with IG looking honestly a lot better than they did through Split 2, I would say they were just like you say, consistently inconsistent, and I think that that's like still something that will happen even on IG side as well. Excuse me, the Waybo moniker, but for IG them being, you know, at this level, even still a team that struggles, right? Looking at their losses that they've had already so far, they split up against FPX. That's not a team that you should be losing to when you're so easily handing W's or handing L's rather to Waybo quite like that, because their comp looks really good. They knew what they had to do and they did it pretty well.
Yeah, they did. I just wonder, like, in these kinds of comps, like, it is a Pantheon, but Wei looked damn good, man. Like, I don't know if JJ is going to get his spot back in these kinds of cases, because you do see the combinations work out, and when Wei is given that advantage, I said it from the beginning, right? He went back, he bought Tunneler, he continued to be proactive throughout that entire game. There were some slip-ups for sure, But it's those kinds of moments when you give this guy that kind of pick, when you have that B1, you Pantheon's open, you have to take it. You need to also have the execution on it.
Yeah, and that sometimes you can think, I haven't played this Pantheon champ in 3 weeks. It's been permabanned in scrims and on stage. Like I'm a little bit rusty, not quite sure what I'm doing. But Way, more than happy with it in his pocket. Got exactly what he needed to out of this performance. And you're looking at the rest of the squad as well. The Shy, only 5k damage behind his AD carry. The fact that, and that's not a detriment to Gala either. He had a massive game today in game number 1. But the Shy is just also kind of there body checking everybody on Sion.
He was. Hey, you're the mountain. You're the wall that they hide behind. And that wall sometimes grew legs and ran at people. Like Tien when he tried to go for that wolf spawn. This was the fight that was just absolutely chaotic, Rude. Like I'm still like, my brain is still trying to process a lot of the information that happened in this fight.
I mean, I think Xiaohu's doing such a good job zoning out IG. That's why it takes them so long to get into this pit and, punish the members of Waybo that are kind of caught in there. But overall, the idea then that you have this sort of dichotomy of we can fight, we can't fight, and the fact that this ends up being even in the end, a pretty weird one for me. And this is one of those rare missteps that we get to see from Rookie, where he's actually going a little bit too far forward, and one of those Qs came and went a little bit too far wide on the Ori. But even still, I think that with the two teams that we've got on our hands here, that Waybo found themselves in a little bit of a hole that they weren't quite able to find their way out of. Hopefully in game number 2 they can right that wrong and give themselves more of an opportunity.
God, that fight where Gala just completely fights back. That happens twice, as you had said earlier. I'm sure we'll get the second one as well. But also just like a little thing, I mean, they were willing to contest a lot of 50-50s in these moments. And unfortunately for Tien, his smite was not on it in game number 1. But that's why we're in a best of 3 itself. But there were some really clutch decisions made by IG members around fights. And I think that's something that you need to see at the highest level of teams, obviously, especially in the LPL. But it's really nice to see things like this where you're seeing Gala, play with his mind and maybe mind off sometimes as well, playing with his body and being willing to throw himself into moments like that.
Yeah, because you do, and like we've both played Kai'Sa a bunch, like you will find these states where you just know, okay, the game's over. Like I can just sit back, relax, and play Kai'Sa. And that's how it felt for Gala at this stage, where he's just like, yeah, I'll ult into the face of a Xin Zhao and a Mambesa. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like I'm so farmed, I'm so fed that really anything that I do is going to be successful. So you just hit that flow state, and for Gala as well, the Gala flow state Kai'Sa is just as good as it gets for any player in any champion.
It's like one of those classic solo queue moments. Like, right, just give me one kill back. Just give me one kill. Come on, die once, please. No, but incredible stuff. I do wonder who gets the MVP for this one, Rude. I think there are a couple contests for that. I think Way deserves a lot of praise for what he was able to do, at least in driving the car to where it needed to go.
I think Way did really well early on. He was enabled by his laners, and he leveraged that really well. I mean, these team fights, Gala was impeccable. I think that we also got to see some really good stuff from Rookie as well, but he had like maybe 1 or 2 missteps, which they don't tend to think of too brightly. So maybe we end up with a Way MVP, maybe we end up with a Gala MVP. I think that either one of those is very worthwhile. And for the most part, that the idea that IG can hopefully push themselves to having a positive win ratio. Again, the highlight for these two teams is that they've not made international performances in this year. They are fighting for that 4th place position, it feels like, in the regular season, and push themselves to have that 4th spot at Worlds.
Yep, there's only 4, and in a league that has so many, it feels like a small amount, but you've got to make the journey there. And we talk about it endlessly because it's so important for the region, not only to have international successes, but who we're going to be sending there. And it might be an entire split away, but it's important to kind of keep in mind. And Wade does get the MVP, so he will be securing that one for himself. His 4th MVP since joining the team, which is going to feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's honestly been very instrumental in a lot of their games. Obviously, with this MVP count, you can find it yourself. But IG have now won 6 games, and 4 of them is where Way's getting MVP. Like, we're looking at whether or not JJ is going to get his spot back. And when the enemy or the jungler that you're sort of battling against has got 4 of 6 MVPs, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, congratulations to IG. With that win, they did cross the 600th win mark in the LPL. So congratulations to one of the oldest standing organizations. We'll see if they can close out this series with a bang and a sweep over Waybo with game number 2 coming up next. Welcome back to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Rude Dude, and game number 1 for Invictus Gaming looking pretty clean. How are we feeling after that one, just real quick?
Yeah, I mean, they had a composition that wanted to do one thing, and they did that one thing. I think that Gala had a really solid performance on the Kai'Sa, Way and the MVP on a Pantheon, and we've seen Pantheon be banned in every single series, it feels like, of the LPL, and the one time that it's not banned, it wins MVP.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's a cause and effect here, but there may be something that we need to look at from Waybo's side.
Well, hey, there was a lot of professional gameplay in that one. I know that one for sure, 100%. So if you want to play like the pros in your own solo queue games, then take the opportunity to learn directly from the pros themselves. Whatever your rank, the best way to start climbing now is to schedule a coaching session at prodiff.gg. Shout out to prodiff.gg, first and foremost, breaking away from the script itself, because prodiff.gg is actually really awesome if you go check it out. But you'll work one-on-one with active or recent players in the NACL, ERLs, or LTA who will teach you to play like a pro. They will review your gameplay, things along those lines. You'll get personalized coaching from them, and it's pretty awesome. Go ahead and go check out prodiff.gg. Use code LPL10 at checkout, and you'll save 10% and support the LPL English broadcast as well, and get some coaching to make your gameplay better. So go check out prodiff.gg. Again, huge shout out to the initiative they've been able to do, not only giving moments to pro players and former pros, but also spreading the love across the community, which, NA might need it.
Yeah, and helping us out over in the LPL as well, giving us a good little boost too, making sure that you guys are on tip top of your solo queue game as we head back into our series for IG versus Waybo. Again, we talked about this at the top of the series, Lennon, that we were expecting mid laners to be really important. Last game it didn't feel like it, because they were supporting pieces for the actual superstars, which we'd also highlighted.
They're like the people in the theater with like the full black mono suits on, like moving props and stuff around the main characters. Like the main characters look cool for a reason. It's because they got a bunch of people behind them making everything run. Just like we have Kai making us look really good behind the scenes right now as our producer. But being able to have that kind of moment is really good for Xiaohu and for Rookie. I think Xiaohu didn't go necessarily as well for him, but it's really nice to see the connection between Wei and Rookie, because the consistency between that is what is going to get IG to Worlds in that long, far future. But that's what's going to get this team wins right now.
Yeah, as with Xiaohu having a little bit of a weaker laning phase led to Tien getting or being in a position where he could get collapsed on, and then finding out that that's, it goes both ways. But with IG, Rookie having a really solid early game here, and having that game number 1 where he got counter picking mid lane and actually made it work. Yes, Talia is a really powerful pick that can do lots of things globally and have some really high damage in the late game, but also it's not without its answers, and I think that Rookie showed that really well.
Well, we're going to be getting into game number 2 now. IG obviously going to be on the red side, because any team that loses on red side immediately goes to blue side. That's just the way things go. It will be some similar bans from that game number 1, though. Waybo on that blue side ban away the Poppy and the Rumble. We'll get the Azir ban by IG.
Still things like Gwen and Vi to hit the ban table as expected. Maybe Trundle starts to creep into those bans as well. And we'll get to see whether or not there's a little bit more focus down on that bot side. We've seen Senna a couple of times hit the bans quite early on, depending on sort of how much you prize your ability to sit back and scale. But for Waybo now on this blue side here, their options for first picks. Currently Varus still open and available as well as one of those bans. We see Gwen still up and available. So maybe getting rid of a Jax here to force the Gwen ban to give you, a decent opportunity in that top side is one of the angles that Waybo are going to go for.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Again, for Waybo, I just want to see ease of execution. I know we said that that's a good thing to have in game number 1s. IG got that in game number 1. I want to see that for Waybo this time around. They are going to ban away the Jhin as a final ban in the first phase. Really worried about giving over that utility to the bot lane of IG.
Yeah, so what have we got left? Varus and Gwen still the available options, and it feels like this is Waybo saying we want to trade those instead. IG probably not going to ban one without banning the other. Instead, they're happy to get the Varus off the table, so you'd expect Breathe to go for a Gwen here. It's been so frequently banned away, but you've also got this Vi as well. That then opens up for Xayah Rakan as a response if IG want to take that, so lots of mind games going on here.
do wonder if it's going to be a pivot to some more facilitation, some more setup for Tien, and it is. It's going to be the Vi. You have some bruiser potential. Vi's definitely fallen out of favor with the junglers in the LPL to some extent, but still kind of that ease of execution. What do you got to do? You locked out a carry with your R, and maybe it's going to work out for him as the Rakan immediately comes through for IG.
Yeah, and then you would just think that you probably want to take the Xayah here to prevent Waybo from maybe denying it from you on this second phase, but there is an opportunity for them to try and take another highly priced pick. I'm thinking that Gwen that's still open and notably missing from this draft at the minute. We'll see where it is that it gets either banned, picked, or if it slips all the way through. It's just a pick that we've seen so frequently. It seems surprising to me that it's getting let all the way through here.
And this is going to be Aurora for Rookie. It could be for the Shy if we get some craziness with the draft. There's some flexibility there. But this team definitely likes this pick. And they're going to get it in the second game. So some comfort going their way. We'll see what Waybo's 2-punch is going to be here with its second and third picks on blue side.
Yeah, and I think that this maybe disincentivizes the Gwen from Waybo because they can switch the Aurora into that top side. We've already seen it from the Shy once this split already, where he's moved that Aurora to the top lane to allow for Rookie to have a better matchup in the mid lane. The Rise getting picked up for Waybo means that whoever it is that's in that mid lane is going to have to find and be okay with 2, 3, 4 seconds worth of CC for a good while. It means that maybe things like Galio as well might increase in priority for Rookie if they do want to swap that into the Aurora into that top side. And Waybo here, we've pulled the draft away, so maybe they didn't want Rise. I don't know.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. How many years of experience do we have on this roster? On these rosters? No,
we're not going to go picking champions. How many times have these guys drafted a League of Legends game?
It's crazy. It's wild. No, I'm sure that's going to actually be the Lucian then in the end. If that was the mess up, it looks like that's what it was because they have the camera on Tien. And,
well, they still had time on the Lucian, so I think it'd be like his pick or his lock-in was the last second Rise switch, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you think it was actually going to be the Rise then?
I don't know. I mean, Tien was the
one. But the Rise got locked in, so yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll find out when you find out, probably.
Yeah.
Or probably not, and just get back into the draft and figure out that way.
Yeah, exactly. What will most likely happen is we will do the draft, and then we'll see the same sort of things, and then at some point it's going to change, and we'll be like, oh, that was the problem. Cool.
Yep. Cool. We'll
have to pick up from there.
All right, so this is a question I've been asking some people now. Which color or what team's away jerseys? Because usually it's the away jerseys that are all crazy colors.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite? Do you like the pine green that Waybo have? Does it make sense? When you think of Waybo, do you think of green?
You don't think of green when you think of Waybo, but I think that you don't think of any LPL team when you think of green, to be honest. So I think it's a good way to go because you could be like, well, you know what, we'll snatch green from anyone else before they take it. You know, like, I mean, I was on with Rafa at some point and he went, yeah, red and white is just done, and by so many teams.
Like 3 or 4 teams for so long have the same colors.
And you've got white and occasionally black thrown in. You know, that's your IG jersey as well. So there's a nice little
I miss OMG
niche to find as well. You could get something good in there.
I miss the orange OMG jerseys. Like people might crucify me for that, but they were different, man. They were different. We always see the same colors in esports. Well, now we're going to see the same draft that we just saw. So get ready to rumble, because it's going to be the Vi first pick. And then really it's the second pick for Waybo that we got to see if it's going to be the Lucian, if it's going to be the Rise, if it's going to be something completely different.
Okay, I think this is a good start.
It was the Victor the whole time.
So they didn't want the Rise, and instead they go for Victor, which is a early blind of this Victor, I will say. It's not without being able to be punished. I think Jarvan, for example, is something that we could see from Way here, as that's been a pick that, you know, rises quite a lot when you've got immobile mid laners to try and punish, especially with an Aurora and a Rakan as well. It's a really good power combo to go for. So this is now a question of what do IG prize. They could go for Xayah just to make sure that there is some safety for Gala versus the Viality, or they could go for the Jarvan to make sure that there's some threat onto Xiaohu as he moves into the late game. So a couple of choices for IG to make their pick on just now.
do wonder if they're just going to go for that lovers duo, a little bit of safety in that bot lane. It is going to be locked in for the Xayah. So now we go into the second phase, and Way has not gotten his jungler just yet, and there's still some of the flexibility of where the Aurora can go for IG. As we get that Lucian ban from their side, they're going to go ahead and take that one away from Light. Not going to give over a duo bot side, but now Waybo, their focus is more interesting.
Yeah, so expect Wukong, expect Jarvan maybe to get taken off of the board, and then you look at champions like Nocturne to maybe be dive threats that can go with this Rakan and potentially enable the Aurora as well. Alternatively, they could just look to ban away some of those really tricky solo laners. Again, I love the fact that they're putting some attention into the mid lane. This Aurora is not exclusively for the mid lane. I think this is something that IG do really well, is they take this Aurora pick early, and then they just punish you, or they will punish you in the draft for it. Because now, with at least one mid ban, you can just put this Aurora mid lane. You can have effectively made it a ban for nothing, and that might make Waybo's life that little bit more difficult. I do think that with these 2 mobility bans getting taken off the board, they are looking for a Jarvan pick, and I think that increases the priority of Corki for Waybo as well.
Okay, I think that's going to be curious to see. I would love to see the Jarvan pick. It's also a very big classic for Way. I do wonder what Waybo's last ban is going to be, where they expect this Aurora to end up going, or if they're going to just try to ban out that mid lane a little bit more. They're going to ban another Way classic away from him in the Wukong ban.
So expect the jungle to get locked in here. Let's preserve that Aurora Flex for as long as possible. And again, I think that if they go for the Jarvan, they've got lockdown for the Victor. You kind of force the hand of Waybo as well to look for one of these picks that have that mobility. Alternatively, they could just opt for another pick that keeps that flexibility open. Man. They take the Yone here, which doesn't reveal the flex, because theoretically the Shy or Rookie could play this. It now means that Xiaohu and Breathe have got to be happy playing either one of these sides of the matchup. And it means as well that Light and Crisp don't get full information for their picks.
I think I might smell something burning.
I'm smelling game 3.
I'm smelling game 3 right now. That's what I'm smelling. As the Callista is locked in for Waybo and the Renata. So they'll get the combo Crisp, a great Renata aficionado. One of the first, actually the first to really do that Renata ult flash combo that came out when she first came into the thing. But it really is about the 2v2 now for Waybo. And it's really about giving Light something to stand on in this game number 2.
And I do actually like Callista versus Xayah as an answer. I quite like Renata versus Rakan as well. If you can handshake out of the Grand Entrance, that's going to be really big. And for IG as well, their composition, they've got a little bit of dive here with the Yone, with the Maokai and the Rakan. But trying to get on top of Light is actually going to be really difficult. Like, he's got so many hops, and these are, skill shots that for the most part you're reliant on. You are looking exclusively at Way for that flash twisted advance to give you any form of confirmed CC, but Light might just take cleanse and be absolutely fine with that, or have a QSS, or there be a Mikhail's in his back pocket so that he can just get out to safety and then start dancing around IG, and that might just be the situation where there's not particularly too much damage that can connect onto the Callista because she's so mobile.
I think that's going to be a really hard question for IG to answer. Do we like the draft style from IG in this game number 2? Do we feel like it's something where they are set up for success with the Aurora back in topside for the Shy for, a third time in the split?
Yeah, it's honestly not something that he looked great on in the previous series I saw him playing, but it was a pick that he took to enable Rookie. Last time they did this, it was to give Rookie a Victor pick on R5 that he took over the game with, or that he was looking like a monster on. So these Aurora flex picks are so frequently to enable Rookie to have a better mid-game, better late game as well. And now he's got this Yone, who is one of those champions that you can just completely dominate on if you get the chance.
Yeah, we got the Wild Wild West mid lane going on here with the skins we got too, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see exactly what works out between the two, but Waybo, they got slapped a little bit in that game number 1. IG looked so dominant, but now sides are reversed. They have a little bit more stable comps, at least for Waybo, a little bit more ease of execution for them as well, and a lot more kind of double-edged sword, literally, for IG. Can IG sweep Waybo, or does Waybo come back and bring us to 3? Let's see. And off we go.
And at least in summer, for the time being, we've got a 50-50 win rate for Kalista so far. So
okay.
Not quite that MSI level.
MSI be damned.
4 picks so far has been 50-50 on either end. So, you know, we're looking at this pick because it came back from MSI and everybody was saying it's the worst champion in the game. How dare you ever pick this? You must be so
Hey, TF was right there with them.
That's true. And for Light, at least, it's been a pick that he should, at the very least, I'd like to say perform on, but we can never be too sure.
Yeah, it does give them more agency in that bot lane. I do like seeing Waybo kind of adjust to that factor, but our big focus today was in mid lane, and I think this game 2 matchup is going to be a very different one from that game 1 where we're kind of supporting Cass. Definitely worked out for Rookie a little bit more so. Rookie, like, is the saving carry here, right? Once he gets to an item, he can really be pressureful, but once he gets to 2-3 items, he will fully carry game with this Yone pick, and it's up to Waybo to try to find ways to dissuade them. And speaking of, looking at that bot lane 2v2, Summoner's going to be burned across the board for both sides. Both heals going to be down. The Ghost from Gala also popped.
Yeah, wow, okay, that's I think that's a mistake from Gala. Have to assume that that's a misclick because there's no way Ghost was ever going to be beneficial there. But Light having a pretty decent start of things there. You got to see the combat summoner used to open up or get in range to start doing some auto attacks, as we've seen the Shy get some really good trades onto Breathe here. But for the combat summoner usage down on the bot side, Crisp used heal to get in range, meant that Mako had to use heal to get out of range again, and they're just looking for a little bit of chunk damage down to establish prio down bot side.
Yeah, let's take a look at those junglers as well. Going to be different from game 1 again in multiple different fashions, also with the jungle clears with the Shy. Trying to play with Breathe here, but both junglers going to be pathing up towards this top side. Might see some early action if the push keeps going.
Yeah, and you know that the Maokai, you know, on pace to go a little bit faster than the Vi at this stage, so we'll be able to get to that top side you'd expect on the same window. Oh, recalls the feathers.
I think he got it.
Yeah, I think he's still perfect CS, which is the kind of wild part. Yeah, despite the fact that they've been walked away, or maybe they've missed an entire wave.
Missed a couple.
Yeah, but now we're fighting for this top side. Way, Q smite, yoink.
Just like in game number 1, we're going to see the junglers starting off with fighting. Way does get the better of TN there in that scuttle trade, but we'll see if they actually want to contest over the next one. The back's just going to be completed from Way. TN really wants to get that other scuttle before he resets.
Yeah, I'm looking at the position of bot lane. He's now Ghost.
Okay, the Shy was invisible for a little bit. Gonna get the flash out of the Shy. And will be the Ghost also popped by Breathe. He's trying to get that extra wiggle room.
And now teleport available for the Shy. They've traded those mobility sums, but actually I think this is a benefit for Breathe. Even though he's going to be a little bit worse off in this laning phase, I do think that the Aurora is very easy to punish, and something that frequently we see when this Aurora gets picked is that it will get pushed into the turret and get dove. And maybe that's something
Waybo, you're taking the bait. Oh man, they opted to fall into the side that Way was coming, but the flash will get them away. Now Mako is the only one really standing between Waybo and the rest of the team. His Way is forced to back away. Gala is going to have to reset as well. No, he's forced to stay because of the contesting that's coming through. Tien locked down here. Going to get the twisted advance to the Bramble Smash coming out, but now Way is overextended. Going to flash away. Mako, he's going to join his teammate. That extra range really coming in clutch for Mako.
Oh no.
Gala and Mako against the world here.
Yeah, Light took an extra turret shot there, and that probably thwarts them from going for the dive as they're trying to defend this second spawn of Gromp. And Mako, he's got a lot of healing, don't forget. Summoner heal's going to come up quite soon, and pushing the mid wave as well. It does mean that IG are able to defend this contest. It's a little bit of wasted time from Tien. It also gives a good opportunity for Light to recall. He goes back to base, picks up those Berserker boots, and Doll's not going to get nearly the same advantage as it looks like Chris is going to be able to hold that wave down on the bot side, so Light won't miss anything for this recall. So all of that push and pressure into the bot side benefits the Kalista.
It does indeed, and they can keep playing off of that, especially now that the Dragon spawned. But Grubs will be up in about 2 minutes and about 15 seconds or so, a little bit more. And I think something else to think about is when speaking of when power spikes happen, the Shy going for the solo. Okay,
missed the Q.
He doesn't hit it. He's going to die. The weirding is not enough. Breathe. He might just snip his life from his very throat, and he's going to do it. Breathe with the outplay.
Level 5 versus level 6, Breathe takes the solo kill, and it's because of a missed skill shot by the Shy. He trims down a couple more minions, leaves the wave in a perfect spot, and this Aurora counter pick, which should have been winning, now finds itself in a really tricky position. Not able to find the solo kill, not able to extend that advantage, and now really going to suffer in that 1v1.
Mako and Gala are feeling themselves down here in this 2v2, feeling a lot better than they did earlier. But you saw the Shy in the camera. He was laughing at himself. He knows what happened. Can't miss that twofold hex. And as he does, he loses a lot of that setup in top side. We'll take a look back at it.
Yeah, so he just hits level 6, and quite rightly, I think, goes for the all-in, especially as it's as soon as Breathe has used his skip and slash to go forward. And it looks really good, but Breathe, you know, second wind, potion ticking, Q goes wide, and he gets a lot of healing back from the Q as well. Got some really good healing runes coming through, and the ability to sustain the Aurora. Fortunately for Breathe, quite hard.
Maybe a little bit of a 2KO. We'll see if it actually pays dividends, though. It will be the Merc Treads rush for Breathe, so he's going to feel a little bit more comfortable up there now. But let's take stock of...
Yeah, well. Go ahead. Just able to dodge out the Aurora spells much easier as well.
Rookie going for an all-in on Xiaohu there. Fate Sealed is still available, but Xiaohu does not have the Chaos Storm. Chris going to be over here. We'll see if they want to do any movement around this dragon. Grubs are going to be spawning now as well.
So normally we get to see a sort of contest or a 1-for-1 in terms of who gets a couple of grubs, who gets the dragon, but it feels like Waybo are really far ahead in this early game and using the Callista to their advantage. We'd like to see them start pushing the advantage a little bit more. Look for these fights. No level 6 for Mako just yet.
Mako able to get away now. Waybo closing ranks. They were really willing to go for that one. Meanwhile, we're getting another all-in top side. Tian still has that cease and desist. Really lock somebody down. We said ease of execution for Waybo. So far they have a small advantage here to speak of, and now that Tian can really lock down a champion, we'll see if he can get that off for the rest of the team. Still no objectives taken or even really fought over. Oh, the Shy dies again. No way. Okay.
One of these junglers needs to come top lane, man. These two are scrapping left, right, and center. Like, I'm looking at the minimap and thinking, who's going to make the first move?
Flights must be expensive to the island.
Yeah, exactly. This is like, you know, first class only. All flights, all seats have sold out, and yet somehow there's nobody here.
Nobody's allowed. The rookies now gonna see that Tian was coming up behind Xiaohu, so will not go for the all-in there. Rookie's really chomping at the bit, though. I would love to see them wait for an all-in with Rookie until they get that Blade of the Ruined King, but Wade's just gonna start up the dragon. Crisp handshakes out of the grand entrance. That was beautiful. And now Mako, he's getting a lot of feathers, a lot of spears in him. Gala was stepping forward on the light. They won't be able to get anything else. Now Xiaohu, fate sealed onto him, but he's gonna flash out.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. His jungler was right there, so might have been able to sort of tank that up and not necessarily have to use the flash.
They want to move.
Decides that's not the case, and now looking in that mid lane once again.
Wow, they're just going to give over the dragon as well. Tian was scuffling at least with Wei. It takes a long time for this Maokai to kill the dragon.
Yeah, and with the... Oh, hello, Tian. Just gone in.
Okay, I don't think he meant to do that. I really don't think he meant to do that. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, they're going to try to fight it on the backside of it. I do not think he meant to take that Q over the wall. I think he meant to take it into his jungle or somewhere else, but that was tough, and that means Dragon is gone.
I think he may have been sniffing around for a steal. I'm going to be honest. I think Tian is one of those junglers who we've seen time and time again look for a steal or look for a play to try and keep his team at least level in those objectives or at least generate an advantage. And he had flash available. I think he knew exactly what he was doing and then didn't really factor for Mako being over the wall and that chain of CC being so powerful.
All right, well, that is going to be a mistake that might come back to bite them. It is just the first dragon. It is Mountain Soul, or Mountain Dragon, not Mountain Soul, rather. Going to be some nice boost of stats as Way's going to take the gank. Breathe took the bait.
Junglers!
Now going to get the Between Worlds, and the jungler has made the ticket first class for Way straight to Breathe. And that's going to be a breath of fresh air here with that island breeze. The Shy gets the kill.
And that's what we've been waiting for so long, is just somebody to go into this top lane. They are scrapping every single minute. It's a freebie to go pick up. Mako's now made his way up to this top side. Light is here as well, though, and both mid laners have TP to join if they want.
A little bit of healing from Mako there. We'll get hand shook back by Chris, but the grubs will go fully over to Waybo. This time around, no contesting over it, no fight from IG. That will be a really nice permanent objective to have for them. As Mako needs to be very careful. There's some warding here. They're trying to catch him out. The handshake does go wide. Can will finally take the third grub and now come over the wall to try to get Mako.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Yeah. He does have his team coming now. They're walking. They're coming. They also have mid lane move if Breathe wants to.
Gala's coming straight from base here with that completed Yuntao.
Double grand entrance. They're going to get the Nature's Grass coming in as well. Double TPs. Call the Avengers. Call somebody. We want to fight over this red side as Rookie immediately runs away. The Chaos Storm's going to be popped by Waybo. The Shy trying to get a little bit of poke damage on the other side. Fate's at least going to be Fate's Call going to be used. And Waybo actually try to collapse over this top side. They might be extending a little bit, but they want some plates.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what their end goal is here. Tien goes back in.
Oh, the Fate Seal comes in and he goes straight for Crisp. Does get the hostile takeover right back, and they can't get a kill. There is so much blood being shed, but nobody's going down.
Yeah, lots of pretty colours, but nobody dies as all the ultis come through. Many flashes to safety from Crisp and Tien, but not quite the ability to find lethal damage just yet. This entire time, by the way, Gala, before the grubs, pushed a mid-wave, went back to base, finished off his Yuntao. Then spent a little bit of time hoping to try and find a fight in this top side, realised there wasn't anything doing, went back to mid lane, pushed a wave uncontested. He's trying to get back into pace with Light, so he's down in CS, but he's actually up on experience because he's just been hitting so many mid waves uncontested.
And that's going to feel really good, especially once the items start coming through. Xayah is no slouch when it comes to hyper carrying. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, Ruler ran this league with this pick. And I think you can think to try to be like Ruler in a lot of ways with LPL ADCs. Now, Rookie is a little bit tattered up top lane, but he will end up getting his back off. But we do have first items coming through. I do wonder if Rookie is going to hit his now. Mako's going to go for an engage on Tien. We end up getting a little bit of contest in the invade here, but they're really hovering around this bot side. TP's going to come through for Mako to come save Rookie. He might be able to get up here just in time to get the grand entrance back. Rookie wants to fight on the Light, but needs to be careful.
Yeah, no Fate Sealed means that the commit isn't as easy as IG might have liked, even though they get a good little chunk with a Vampiric Scepter in the back pocket. You'd like to think that Light will be able to sustain all of this back on up. We've got a set of Heralds spawning in 45 seconds. I say set off, it's just one exclusively, and then the Drake spawning in 50 seconds, so people need to start taking their bases
next
to the Shy
year. Oh my gosh. Between Worlds going to be popped, but he doesn't get nearly enough distance. The Weirding not either. And now Breeze is coming for him as well. One more snip. No, not going to have it in him just yet. The cooldown not there. The Shy barely scrapes away.
And he backstepped into that as well. Like, he was taunting Breathe, going, I can walk the wrong way and still be fine. So managing to get out to safety there is a little bit fortunate for the Shy, maybe just knowing exactly the ramifications, or the damage rather, that he was going to be exposed to. But looking at this game as well, 15 minutes in, we are dead even in gold. Not really a hair to split between these two teams. Very small advantages on one side for junglers and mid laners on one end, but nothing really to write home about. And as we look into this game a little bit later on, we're talking about the power of execution, or the ease of execution. I do think that Light on a Kalista, typically a champion that's very difficult to navigate anyway, but I do think that up against this composition with a cleanse in the back pocket, it should be pretty easy for Light to start dancing and start going crazy. The second he gets locked down by some sort of knockup or CC, though, that's when it starts to get tricky.
Gala had the pop off in game one. Light wants his own. Grabbing the Kalista, really going for this 2v2 pressure, really going for him to have some carry potential where he maybe didn't have it as much in the execution of last game. Will be another dragon going the way of IG though, so they'll continue stacking up that objective. Meanwhile, that Rift Herald already started up by Waybo will be gifted over to them, while the turret's going to go back to IG. So gold going both ways.
Yeah, it's a turret for turret trade and then a Drake for a Herald trade. IG currently sat 2 Drakes to 0, working up to an Ocean Soul for this game, and whether or not Waybo look to contest them on that 3rd Drake, I think they would be wise to. They've got some really decent spiking champions at that point between the Kalista and the Vi. And then as they move later on into the game, I do really like Waybo scaling. This Victor is going to be a monster later on. The Gwen as well going to do great things. If she's left unchecked, Scarlet ghosts forward.
Oh, he gets hand trick back. Nature's Grass coming in. Mako over the top. Rookie just hit his Blade of the Ruined King, and he wants to use the spike. But Wade loses his life before they can even do anything. Blade Caller's already been popped by Gala too. Mako needs to run away. Light wants to chase him down, but the rest of Waybo back away.
Yeah, and you talked about it in the fight, Mazel. Gala not able to really contribute to that. He pops his ghost in an attempt to dodge the handshake, but Crisp handshakes him into the gravity well, and Gala's out of commission for the first 3-5 seconds of that fight, where Way can't actually sustain himself, can't stand tall in that front line on this AP Maokai. So it means that IG look for a fight that they can't take, and that Waybo actually find themselves a really good advantage.
Double mask Maokai, not going to be nearly as tanky. You could see what they wanted.
They're looking for Crisp, and he just gets Fates called back out to safety. Double CC chain from the Renata into all the damage that the Victor has to offer. It's more than easy for Waybo to come out with an advantage, and this Victor, again, one of these champions that is going to scale very well into the late game, hasn't really been threatened early on. Xiaohu, a player on this team who in recent splits we've criticised for being quite weak and not really stepping up to the fold, but in this season, in split number 3, has actually looked like an incredible player. And now in game number 2 of this series, where game 1, not necessarily his fault that he lost, but he wasn't able to put on the carry pants on the clear, he's now looking like he could do the same thing on this Victor.
Oh, Mako in a little bit of trouble. Mobility that Rakan provides to get away from that one, and you can see in that little moment, that little setup that Rookie just played on the Xiaohu. Rookie is terrifying right now. Chris gonna make it away from Mako's Grand Entrance, gonna handshake him, cool, calm, and collected. But look at Rookie, he is eviscerating Tien here. He's gotta be careful. And that Blade of the Ruined King spike, I see it coming like a freight train down the tracks, but it always surprises me nonetheless how much it unlocks this champion.
Yeah, really solid pick, as we get to see really solid trade actually from Light in the mid lane. That's like 2-3 auto attacks and a good Q weeding in some great rends as well. But looking to take this tier 1 turret down, Rookie actually able to pretty much individually find the time to work his way through this turret. He's able to work through Tien's health bar as well as he's trying to cover one of the waves, but for the most part, it's a really solid look for IG's mid laner, who's also this split alone in sort of the reverse of Xiaohu, come under criticism. Hasn't really felt like he's been hitting the same way that he used to in split 2 and in split 1. But again, in this series, we're seeing Rookie deliver. His Orianna performance was pretty standout, and he was in a position where he actually was able to put the pressure onto Xiaohu early on and find his way to an ascended win.
We'll see how much consistency can reign king. 3rd dragon potentially for IG, just over the horizon, just over a minute. Would be a soul point and an ocean soul, which both comps I feel like would love at this point, but especially as time goes on. And any picks, anything you can get before this fight is going to be huge.
Got Disco Mako here, Ghost Cleanse, as he's able to navigate his way back out to safety. Spellbook giving him the freedom to be able to roam around this map. Redemption first for Mako is going to add the boost to these team fights. There's a little bit of extra HP between the rest of the squad. Noticeably though, Crisp also has that item picked up, ready to go. Oh. Atacon has spawned on this top side. Rookie looks to be the focus for now. Just uses E. Going to try to farm as much of that wave as possible. Gets one melee creep before he realizes he's got to dip back.
So the thing here that IG are wrestling with, I guess that both teams are wrestling with, is the fact that Atacon has spawned on the top side of the map. It would be a pretty early Atacon, but you can force it over the dragon. It looks like Waybo want to try to contest this side of the map, the side that IG want with this dragon spawning.
Yeah, I think that the Ocean Soul in the long run is going to provide you that little bit more than the Atakan, as Mako once again just kind of fiending with Waybo, spotting them out, seeing where they are. We've started up early, 1.5 items across the board, but it's 2 items for Gala.
Another 50-50 potentially here as well. Going through, Tien lost the other ones, but here goes the 50-50. It's going to go the way again! Hostile takeover hits onto 2, and now Gala has to use a Feather Storm. He's all by himself in the front line, though. Everybody else is running away, but IG got what they came for. Way cannot miss.
But what do they lose off of this? Do Waybo get now free purchase to try and walk up and get a vision on the Atakan? Not looking to be the case. It actually looks like, really, IG get themselves Soul Point, and all they have to do is lose the Shy for it. A weird skirmish, you know, honestly, where it felt like not really anybody had to die, but that Waybo would have needed a lot more. The Shy actually throws his life away to sort of zone away 3 people, but look at this hostile takeover that rolls through, lands onto every carry that IG have to offer, and completely takes Gala out of the fight, takes Rookie out because both of them are DPSing one another, and there's nothing that the IG carries can do to threaten Waybo. Yes, they've got this soul, but they're now down 2k gold.
Mako is going to need to do something. Flash has his teammate right there. Perfect. They'd have to burn the Flash.
It's longer for Rakan to the Xayah, so it's easier for him to get through, but now Waybo, they're looking, they're searching on this top side. Not going to be able to find Rookie, but they might be able to find this Atakan start.
We feel like this is bold. No ultis available for IG. They don't burn it necessarily super fast, but they do have a second item on light, and those Ren stacks are going to really start stacking up here. Mako coming over. They have Rookie ready to go with the Q3. They're going to try to move into the pit. It's going to be another 50-50 potentially, but Way can't get in there. Way's waiting. He's going to use the Nature's Grass. They're waiting to take it. The Rend, it's going to be taken by Tien. They get the play onto the Atakan now. Rookie stacking up on the side, but they need to be careful. This trap is about to be closed shut on them. They're going to try to take down one, but the bailout's there. It's not enough to get Tien out. Rookie now in trouble against Light. He's all by himself on the wrong side of the fight. Fate's Call is going to be used as well. IG do make it away, licking their wounds. Trying to get Xiaohu on the back end of it, but they were able to pick 2.
Waybo coming out on these fights consecutively now, finding leads and generating more and more gold. They get the Atakan as well. And it's because IG, they're a little bit split. They don't really know what they need to do, and they're not uniform in their approach. It's the Atakan being picked up for Waybo, and I hope that we can get a replay to break down the issues that IG ran into. First of all, Xiaohu just having a mammoth performance. Walks up, Gravity Wells 3 of them off, so Way, Mako and Gala can't get through. And then when Way walks in, look at Rookie, he's not looking to fight at all. He's looking to try and stack his Q before he comes into this fight. Which means that when he starts here, he's already lost his jungler. And yes, they're able to pick off one, but because he's used his tether, he's always going to go back. And there's no way that IG can make it into that fight at all.
And that's the tough entrance here moving forward as well. And that's something we really talked about from the draft, at least for Waybo, is there are just a lot of options to make this comp work. I mean, Chris is having a remarkable Renata game, but it takes the village here for Waybo, and they've been executing it very well.
And we talked about the fact that this composition on both sides, they've got good scaling aspects, but that the Victor as we move into this late game is going to be a monster. The access to him is so situational and so dependent on Rookie, on Mako being able to link up with one another and try and find a way into these fights. And now Tien looking for this fight. They've got a deep TP.
Oh, this is looking like the nail in the coffin potentially here for IG. They're going to pull the play from Xiaohu. They're going to try to fight back, but Rookie's going to use his Fate Sealed out right into the waiting arms here with the Needlework coming through as well. Breed going to try to run him down, but Rookie wants to get out, wants to flash. IG making the great escape right now. Nico might have just slowed himself down, though. Yeah, they think they see him. The TP, the play, the handshake. Chris stops him in his tracks. Meanwhile, they are a little bit split now, but they will hone back in on Rookie and take him out from the rest of the team. There is also the Dragon coming up. He will be up in time, but he won't have his TP.
Yes, so you can expect Waybo to try and take this Drake on spawn, but you can expect IG to give it up without a fight. They did use Nature's Grasp, but that might well be back up and available by the time that Dragon comes to bear. And Way, we've seen it time and time again where he's been on top of those smites. Might be more difficult if Light's there stacking up those Ren stacks a little bit earlier. But IG now with a chance to flip maybe the game. If they lose and die here, then that's a very real opportunity that the Baron then gets started. I think that the power spikes for IG not quite where they need to be. We've hit 2 items on our AP carries, and yes, 2 items on Rookie. They're looking to try and flip this. Gala has no IE, so they're heading for the Baron.
No way they're doing this. I mean, hey, I like it. They're going to lose the Dragon here, but they might just get the Baron. Bree's going to get the news to the team. The Dragon is gone. Nature's fast pitch first.
Oh, it's
they
not
are
low.
so late for this. They're going to try to get it down. Come on, it's low. It's going down its ways. But now they need to escape. They need the buff.
IG.
They need something. Bree's going to run him down. He's like, you are not getting away from me. I'm going to sink my fangs deep into IG. Wei will go down as well. Xiaohu finds another kill.
You know what? I'm calling worse for IG. They were never getting that Dragon in the first place, and they stopped Waybo from being able to accelerate the pace of this game much further. They only lose their support and their jungler, so all 3 carries have got that Baron buff. Now the Shy using the stealth, I thought he was going to try and clear out the wave, is able to do so.
He does no damage.
But is Rookie now going to try and make a hero play?
Between worlds used. The Shy's trying to get damage down, but the Shy does no damage right now. Though they have Gala here. Gala can do something. Rookie, he almost has Fate sealed back. Rookie wants it. Rookie tries to get Light, but Light flashes out. Light's trying to get away, and Light not able to. Rookie cuts him down. Gala gets the kill on the Crisp, and that's the bot lane gone from Waybo.
This is why they spent the big bucks, Mazel. 3v5, they're able to find a fight up against Waybo. This IG organization at the start of 2025 said, be damned with these innovative rebuild rosters, and they splurged big for the super team. In Split 1 and Split 2, it was a colossal failure, but in Split number 3, Gala, the Shy, and Rookie are looking to deliver on that promise of making a big performance. It's Light dancing as best as he can, but it's one of the all-time mid-lane GOATs from the LPL that cuts him down.
The Rookie to Worlds campaign is in full steam, baby. As you need that big 3 to really come through for this team. You can sub out JDG, you can go to Wei, you can have all that, but it is about the meat. It is about Rookie, Gala, and the Shy being the carries to try to bring this team through. And Waybo just lost a hefty chunk of their lead. They're only up about 2.5k now. And there's going to be Dragons coming up. There's going to be more soul opportunities for IG. And they still have Baron up.
And yes, this is good. This is a really big anti-tempo play. Like, it runs completely against the momentum, I should say, rather, of Waybo. They were coming away with fight after fight after fight, and they were doing so well at just thwarting everything that IG put down. But this doesn't mean that the composition for IG all of a sudden became easier to play, and that their position in this game and how easy their game plan is has changed entirely. There's now Mako caught.
Oh, Mako completely caught now. He's going to try to use the quickness. He just can't even get away. Yeah. It's like watching a horror movie right there as he just tried everything he could not escape. They're going to try to get some side lane pressure with Rookie, but that's all they'll get.
Yeah, and I think they're going to lose tier 2 in the mid lane here. Maybe Gala can do a little bit of
for
heroics.
5 seconds.
Yep, okay, well, the wave just shreds under Gala, which is nice, as Crisp should be fine here, but 3 items on Gala. Again, we've highlighted how incredibly powerful this AD carry can be, I think, in their series. You know, up against FPX, faltered a little bit, but now he's the focus. No ulti, remember, on TN, so just posturing to make sure he can't get access to this wave. And can't importantly get access into the turret either.
Just nobody can do anything about it. That 2-2 is gone from this world. The 3 grubs really coming back to pay dividends for Waybo. As we do look, we're on 3 items for Light. Going to be close to that 3rd item for Xiaohu as well.
That's honestly just really smart play from Waybo, I will say, and honestly a little bit disrespectful from Gala. You should never be able to step on that wave, Tien, though.
It's just going all in on Tien, trying to get him. They do get the blue buff. They didn't get what Rookie wanted, but the turret's going to fall too. They go straight on the Light. IG are fighting here, but they are not with the rest of their team. Breathe is just running down Gala. Going to force the Featherstorm out. Now the Shy is completely caught out. Oh, he's trying to bounce between. Going to flash out. Blade Caller's going to be used, but he is already dead. Because now that means your big pick potential is gone. The Shy is out of there, and Waybo can look to push mid.
But once again, look at the summoner spells burned. We get Crisp's flash taken off the board. Tien lost his flash in the prelude to all of this. And really all they lost there was the Shy's flash, who on this Aurora is just really running interference. Isn't looking to be the superstar in this game, but is a possibility that he can maybe make some sneaky plays work. For Waybo though, it's a great timing on that pick. Once again, it happens just as the dragon is spawning. Now this time the Shy has got flash. And we look at those ultis. Gala, no Featherstorm. Mako, no quickness. Waybo, they should be able to find this fight.
What they do have, though, are item completions. 3 items for Rookie. Fate Sealed coming up as well. They need their big 3. They get the TP coming in. It's going to be a little bit late. Chaos Storm's already doing so much work. Nobody can get in the pit. Way can't even get over there. It's already gone now. Rookie chunked half health as he even gets to the fight. He has to use the Fate Sealed, or at least the movement out of there. And now they have this 50-50 going the way of Waybo. They get a second Ocean Dragon in a row.
And this is the game, Lennon, we were hoping for, where it's about those mid laners. It's Rookie. If he can find a big Fate Sealed, then maybe they can win the game. But around the Dragon this time round, it's Xiaohu, who actually cuts IG down to size. Gravity Well on one side, Chaos Storm on the other, chunking IG down. Wei can never get into the pit because he's getting throttled by the Victor. And the zone control that it provides as well is far too huge. It means that IG are thwarted once again in their attempts to try and take the soul, and it means that Waybo buy themselves another 5 minutes.
They do indeed. Their scaling is going to be absolutely insane. Xiaohu has now hit his 3rd item. You're getting close as well for Breathe. We were talking about the big 3 for IG, but you got to also talk about the big 3 for Waybo. Xiaohu, Light, and Breathe. The core potential right now in the game. Tien and Crisp, they're all there for setup and peel. But it's about the other 3 to really lock things down in these fights.
And the power that comes from IG's composition comes around these big ticket cooldowns, around Fate Sealed, around a quickness engage. What's a great answer to those? Well, it's stasis. It's an ability to invulnerable them. Xiaohu has got an ability to go golden. The same for Breathe as well. So if they use those stases at crucial times, it can nullify Rookie, it can nullify the Shine, it can nullify anything that IG want to do if they're used appropriately. I think that in these big team fights, Waybo's chances of succeeding are going up and up as we get later on into this game. The ability to purchase items and the way in which they've crafted their builds is giving them more of a lead than they maybe have just off the gold.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's just one of those comps where they knew what they were drafting when they came to it. If it was going to go late, they had options. And some of those options going to be coming alive now. They're really tussling and kind of fighting for positioning over this Baron pit. I will say Gala just hit his Bloodthirster spike, so he will be on 4 items on the Xayah. Is it enough, Rude?
And that's the counter, isn't it? Is that yes, there are some big ticket items that, or big ticket cooldowns that IG have got to offer, but what they've also got is this Flickerblade Xayah, who is going to have 100% uptime on the W, Deadly Plumage, and going to have that increased attack speed and damage profile pretty much throughout, if she can auto-attack. I think that's a really important caveat, because walking around Chaos Storm Gravity Well, trying to dodge the hostile takeover from Crisp, and then having Breathe Zone where you just can't walk up to the Gwen at all, is already proving to be quite difficult. So in instances where Gala can auto-attack, he's going to shred, but finding those opportunities on such a short-range marksman is actually really difficult.
And on the other side of things, I feel like all the options are outlaid on the table for Light. I mean, he's got a GA, he's got the bailout, he's got the hostile takeover from Chris, we got the handshake behind him as well the whole time. I mean, he's got every survivability tool he could ask for.
We've got 90 seconds on that Soul. Baron has been live for a while now. Waybo hesitating to pull the trigger. In fact, it's Gala who's soloing this now.
Okay.
Waybo, I think Xiaohu spotted that just barely. And they probably would have been able to get away with that, to be completely honest with you.
He took like almost a quarter off in that little exchange.
I think that with Maokai there, completely different beast, and with Gala just teasing the waters a little bit, seeing what it is that he's capable of. They've now got a litmus test for how long they can do that Baron and how quickly they can do it, but it's Waybo starting it up. All summoners available on all sides.
Oh, Waze got it before, but can he do it now? Nature's Grass coming in. He's waiting to go over the pit. It's going to be stolen by Tien, or at least taken by Tien. Now Gala can't really hit, like you were saying. Rookie goes back out the other side. Tien getting low. The Shy wanted him. He flashes, though. Now the Shy's going to have to flash away. Gala still looking for something, but they might move over to the Dragon. This tempo play means that Waybo will lose priority over the Dragon pit.
But I think they've done it soon enough that they can all recall with those Baron-empowered recalls, get back out onto the map, and be able to contest this comfortably. What did they lose for that? They lost Crisp Flash and Tien Flash. They're going to probably have Hostile Takeover up within the sequence that Baron happens, and Nature's Grasp on the flip side got lost. Gala with no Ghost is a pretty big deal, as he would look to use that to space.
Oh, they got Crisp! Can't even react, can't even bail himself out!
And he's just stepped too far forward, he's just a little bit too quick, and that should just be the soul here for IG, as Crisp, an uncharacteristic misstep there, as he's just stepped a little bit too close to the IG members. But look at where Waybo are going. They've got a wave in the top side. They're going to push mid. They're going to look for that top tier 2. No empowered recalls for IG, so they're going to take a long time to get back to defend that turret. But they have got 5 members to do it with.
And now they have the Ocean Soul. It's going to be so useful for them in some of these fights, these odd-offs, because we've seen these teams really stand at odds for each other, not all the time fully committing. And that's really just going to be a boon for IG.
And importantly as well, we've seen these fights largely go the way of Waybo. Like, it's been very much that in the big 5 versus 5s, Waybo are the ones coming out on top. So having this Ocean Soul as a little bit of an extra boost to their combat power might actually tip IG over the edge and make them able to start winning out in these team fights.
Double GAs for Waybo now, though, and almost 4 items completed for Xiaohu. He's working on a hat now. Speaking of hats, Breathe had completed his, still also has his Seeker's Arm Guard. IG not shying away from being present on the map now, though, and there's a big kind of doomsday timer sitting on the clock right now. 4 minutes and 50 seconds for that Elder. What do we want to see these teams do in that time?
I mean, for IG, it's about waiting out this Baron, making sure that Waybo don't get anything more than what they've already earned. I mean, even down 5k gold, we're looking at this and thinking that really, it's only that top lane where there's a massive advantage. I mean, look at the items between Vi and the Maokai, right? Like, they've both got 3 completed items. The real lead comes from Breathe, and mid lane and bot lane, largely even. We're not going to scrape over 700 gold value in the late game. So I think that with IG just stalling, waiting for Waybo and not letting them get anything with that Baron, Tien has just gone forward.
Loses about half his health there too.
I will say one of the things that Waybo so frequently fall to is Tien getting caught in the late game. He will just be a little too far forward and end up getting picked off by a support engage, by a jungle engage, where he's just not quite supposed to be.
Feels like both teams with one slip up can really fall off the ledge here, but Waybo seem to have a firm grasp of how they want to approach this. They are sticking as 5, and we said see champion, kill champion. If they can adhere to those rules as we move forward, that's going to be a team-wide red buff there for IG. Mako's going to lose a decent chunk of his health, but that's where the Ocean Soul comes in.
Especially through the Abyssal Mask as well. That's a lot of damage that he took. It would have been a bunch more had it not been Rookie, though.
I don't know. Rookie wants that. Rookie's just fully locked down. He's going to get his GA pop. Is it enough? They are going to lock down Tien, but he has GA too. GA is popping left and right. The Shy looking for his angle into Light. Light is trying to get to the rest of the team comp. They can't do it. Waybo are going to back away. Some serious GAs down, though, and IG are using this Ocean Soul to keep their health advantage. Look at Rookie! What's the play? Rookie wants it! He can't find the kill, though, in the end. Waybo, they are scared. They have their tails between their legs. They're running away, but the Shy wants them. The Shy gets the double weirding, and they've cut Waybo in half. That's going to be the Blade Caller coming back.
Hostile takeover!
He can't do it. It's going to be such a big hostile takeover. Now Breathe walking forward. Breathe so big, and it's Waybo that turn it on its head. 1,000 golds goes back as Xiaohu finally dies into Shy. Full health from this Ocean Soul. This Ocean Soul is getting so much value, Rude.
GA.
As they move forward, the GA, Rookie wants it. He's not going to have much damage. Missing from Tien. This is so tight. Rookie wants the kill here, though. Going golden is Breathe. The Shy's all by himself now, too, though.
He's going
to get the hostile. No, the handshake back in, and Waybo had pulled the trigger right on time.
And you may have an Ocean Soul, but you don't have the members. A TP into the mid lane from Breathe. And this game, this series could be going the distance, Mazel. 20 seconds on Gala. Breathe with a wave in the mid lane. He's going to look to chop this game down.
I mean, he is absolutely going to do so. We knew this one was going to 3, and it's getting that much closer.
Waybo and IG just giving us these insanely close fights. This one again, dangling on a knife's edge as to who it is that's going to come out on top, who's going to find that massive advantage and who's going to be able to run away with the game. At this point, we're still no closer to knowing. It's only an inhibitor that's the difference. A great flash from Light there. If he gets caught up in that, he can't save his support and probably ends up burning his GA nice and early. But the Shy actually creating so much space on this Aurora. And I want you to watch Hostile Takeover. Look at Gala's HP bar here. He's absolutely fine, absolutely fine. 1, 2, 3, good night. Gets chopped down by Rookie. His own teammate culls him in the face of a winning team fight there. That looked like IG were about to slaughter this fight in the bot side. And unfortunately, it's once again Chris making it work.
And I'm not going to lie, he kind of used the Feather Storm to move, and he moved with the hostile takeover. So when he came out of it, he was still in the smoke. And it's going to feel a little bit bad in the end, but it's little minute things, and then they tried to turn it around last second. But now this lead feels all and totally encompassing for Waybo, as they have almost 10,000 gold up over IG.
We're at the 42-minute marker now, Mazel, where Gala's still not even quite full build. Tien fishing forward. Actually has finished off that Mortal Reminder now, so at max capacity. We've got 4 items as well for our Rookie in the mid lane. GAs and flashes, they're what we're looking for. Gala didn't burn his flash in that final fight, but Light did. We've got 5 seconds on the Elder, and I think that flash cooldown is something that you really want to be looking for. The Shy also has his. Looking across Waybo, though, they don't have those big ticket summoner spells.
Waybo a little hesitant on how they want to move in. They actually get a catch on a Crisp. It's going to be Nature's Grasp onto him as well. Fate's Call is going to be used. He's immediately out of there.
And then that's Cleanse as well, used by Light. So now no summoners for the Callista. Any access to the Dancing Dartress, and she will go
they
down.
burn it. Is this the moment? Is this the Way smite that makes it all matter? It's Way versus Tien in the pit, 50-50. Who's going to get it? It's going down to Gala! Gala got it for IG, and now he's rinsing Waybo. 1 feather, 2 feathers, make him 3. The plate collar through! And they make
It's not enough!
Waybo. Lights got back too! They've got 2 Elder Dragons up. A triple kill comes through for Light, but it is blood across the rift, rude dude.
So just Rookie gets away. We don't care about the Elder on Mako. Light's able to actually keep himself alive and turn this fight back around. But it's actually Breathe that turns this fight. The Gwen value, we've talked about it this entire game, that the only real lead in this game was sat on Breathe. But actually, in this final Pinnacle team fight, it was the Breathe show. The Gwen pop-off happens right at the very depth here. Outsmiting a Xayah combo is actually really tricky. Rookie buys a lot of space in the top, but Blade Caller here is able to do enough to shred through the Drake to get through that soul. 2,000 and a smite early as well. It's a very solid secure by IG. And you just think, okay, Gala surely is going to run away with this. But look at the needlework from Breathe. He knows he's got to go in or he's going to get bailed out. R3 chunks IG to size, and Rookie's able to get out to safety. But it's Waybo who, again, against an Elder of all things, are able to sustain.
But now that fight's not over. We have Baron up on the table and still have this Elder Dragon for a minute for IG. Can they use it on Rookie? The man in the mid lane. The guy that put that star on their chest right there. Can he be the one to do it?
I think that the sad reality is that this is probably just going to result in them securing this Baron. Maybe uncontested, maybe with a fight that Rookie will pop off in. It's got 40 seconds whilst that Elder's still on, and yeah, the Baron's going to go their way. They know that even Rookie alone is enough of a threat to be able to clear out that mid-wave, stymie the push for another 30 seconds. But IG are still fighting at a gold deficit here. They're still sat in a position where really, if the numbers are to be believed, they aren't supposed to win this game.
We're like even builds and everything.
Yeah. it's those intangibles, Mazel. It's the fact that they've got an Ocean Soul at their back pocket. It's the fact that they've also now just picked up the momentum as well, because they won that Smite fight, and because honestly, Way has won the majority of Smite fights. All of that internal mental energy that goes into, can I smite this objective, is, you know, it's being thwarted, and it's being used on the side of IG to really tarnish what it is that Tien at the very least will be feeling.
Here comes the push from IG. Honestly, a dead even game here. Some of those moments coming through. Randuin's completed for Light. He's going to be extremely tanky. That's why he's got such a big health bar. But everybody's coming to this top side here. The Baron buff can really make mincemeat of these turrets. See them commit to this. They want to fight. They want to go for the turret itself. The Shy waiting for the Between Worlds. It will end up being a little bit of usage from Chris. Rookie's taking a mid lane turret. We'll be just fine.
Great use
God,
there
this is where
to
it's
get out
brutal.
to safety. This is the tense times. Breathe looking.
Oh, they got Gala. They got Gala. He's going to have to Featherstorm. He's going to have to Blade Caller. He can't do it. That's the GA pop. They try to go in the backline fight. Breathe is just tearing them apart, and Rookie can't get anything. Rookie hasn't been able to do anything.
Game 3, baby.
That's a double kill for Light, and that's going to definitely mean a Game 3 waiting for us between Waybo and IG.
They've got to push a wave. They've got to find their way through. Rookie's looking to corral these minions. If he dies with GA, he just clears this wave. That's job done for him. But if they try and find a wave elsewhere, just clear the wave, Rookie.
He's going to try to flash away, okay? They're going to get Tien over here. He doesn't have the cease and desist. He's going to just try to kill people. He might end up fighting somebody. Okay. He ends up getting the GA. It's going to be okay. They do have the gravity well there as well. They're going to lock him down, take him out. He can't do anything about it. He is still alive? How is this even possible? Somebody kill this man,
They're trying to delay
please.
the death timers. They're trying to stall death timers, I think. He just needed to take this wave. I think that this mid lane wave is going to get there in time, and the Waybo not have the ability to take this. They'll probably go for a 4 versus 5 now, where Rookie is like a minute behind his team. So they can't end. They don't even go for an inhibitor. And somehow another 43-minute fight doesn't end the game. It's Breathe, though, once again taking the fight into his own hands. He knows Gala's got no flash, and it's, in fairness, great timing from Gala. He gets over the hostile takeover this time, but the Shy is completely caught out. He gets taken down in seconds. And as you were highlighting, Rookie wasn't really able to do anything in this fight. He doesn't get access to the Callista, doesn't get access to the Gwen, and doesn't get access to the Victor. Those 3 targets are just free hitting the whole time. But now there's 20 seconds left on Rookie. Waybo, they're pushing in for the end.
IG were trying to defend bot side. They're going to use the Nature's Grasp here to pull across, but now they won't have that for any fight that ensues. They're going to lock down Ray. They just go for the frontliner here, and he can't do anything. He's just going to have to flash out. Between Worlds goes through from the Shy. Hostile Takeover is going to use Gala. He's the focus. Featherstorm, Blade Caller. He can't get in damage range. He can't auto-attack, but the Shy's here. The Shy goes for a double weirding. Tries to get Tien. Tien doesn't go down. Fate Sealed coming in on Xiaohu.
They got Xiaohu!
Rookie's going to clean house now on the Light. Light's in trouble. Light's got GA. Light's
got
Fate's Call. He wants the bail. He wants the everything. He's by himself, though, in the middle of IG. How do things turn up like this? How the turntables? His Light is gone. Waybo, they might just throw away their chance.
Take the mid wave, IG. You've got a 5 versus 3 on the map. No mid lane, no AD carry. This is your time to end it. We've been sat for 49 minutes, biting our nails on the edge of our seats, trying to see who's going to win this game. Can Waybo pushes to 3? Do IG take the series 2-0? This is IG's time to shine.
This is prime drama time. This is everything the LPL offers. IG, just off the loss of FPX, the back door that sunk into their hearts. They want to turn it on Waybo. Look at Mako. He's going to go in. They're going to try to get the turrets. Gala needs to focus the turrets. Gala's not doing anything right now. He's trying to dodge away from the hostile takeover. Breathe got a little bit of health here. Gala takes him down. Gala's still alive. And they're going to go to the turrets now. There goes Tien trying to get the back line, trying to get onto Gala. Gala's still alive. Gala's shutting them down. 1-2 punch to the face. And IG, they look to do it. A 2-0 over Waybo. What dominance.
What a game. IG 2-0 Waybo in maybe the least predictable fashion that you have ever seen. They took Elders, they took Barons, they stole Elders, and they stole some Barons. And somehow Waybo, with a gold lead throughout the entire game, aren't able to close out. It's IG, the super roster, the super team from the start of 2025 that come up clutch.
The longest game of the split so far. Absolutely incredible. It's crazy. We've already had, with this, 70 games in this split, and it doesn't stop becoming bangers. Waybo's going to want that one back 10 times out of 10. But you said it best in game number 2. What did IG do this year? They dropped the cash load. They brought the big guns. And in those moments, this is what the payoff is.
I mean, a 2-0 here doesn't really tell you the story of the series. I mean, game number 1, IG, you know, pretty convincing run-of-the-mill win. They had a dive comp, they dove and they won. Whereas this time round, they had a completely mental composition that thrived around an Aurora flex pick, and that, you know, we relied on Rookie for so much of this. But again, I think that looking at our particular matchups, it's Way once again who was frequently securing those objectives, and I'd like you to envision this game, but where Waybo have an Ocean Soul. It's over in 30 minutes. It's over so much earlier, and the game just isn't even close. But it's those smite fights that Way's winning that is keeping IG competitive, and that in the end is actually giving them enough of a boost to keep them in the game.
And they were down almost 10,000 gold before that Elder Dragon play. Gala securing it with the Blade Collar. I mean, everything just falling in the right hands of IG. Like, that's the kind of stuff that makes this team magic, and you love to see it at its highs. And this means that they moved to 3-2. That's going to feel really good. Obviously, they didn't get to play against BLG, but they have a big road ahead of them, right? We talked about next opponents for both these two teams. For Waybo, JDG, Top Esports. For IG, AL JDG. Those are not easy opponents, especially with JDG tonight.
Yeah, and I think that JDG looking, you know, like they could potentially be on a little bit of a return to form. Like you say, it's not going to look good for either of these two teams if they come off of a really rough series today. And I think that IG, this is a sort of series win that they needed after a disappointing series like 2 days ago where they get slammed by FPX, a team that everybody's expecting to just be able to pick up 3 wins against. The IG come away in that, you know, probably, you know, if they'd have played that FPX series better, could have easily found themselves at 4-1 in this position. And, you know, we sort of hammered home the ramifications for these two organizations earlier on, but these are two teams that are fighting to appear at International, that are looking to try and claim what is probably going to be a 3rd or 4th spot at Worlds. And if they're finding these wins up against Waybo or finding it in the reverse against IG had it gone the other way, those are the types of series that you need to take.
And I shout out to the backroom staff, the coaching staff for IG. They've probably gained or lost like 5 years on their lives from these last 2 series. Like the back, if they literally were, maybe should have lost this game in a lot of cases. As you see, they lost or they won with a gold deficit. And I'm just happy that we got the Xiaohu rookie face-off for game number 2. Game number 1, they were supporting cast. Game 2 was all about them.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they won with a gold deficit. They never had more than a 300 gold lead at any point during this game. We finally got to see what happens when these two mid laners battle head-to-head, and I think that when we got fights around objectives, Xiaohu was thriving. When we saw these really weird, like, we're losing our minds because it's 50 minutes into the game kind of team fights, that's when Rookie actually started to come alive, and in these larger open spaces, the Yone, weirdly enough, was the one beginning to thrive. And we're looking at the highlights. This is the first highlight, by the way. Xiaohu's already level 18. That should tell
this
you
is like 40 minutes in.
how much and how crazy this game ended up being.
This fight, and I go back to that point you said about the Ocean Dragon. This whole series of like 3 minutes of play doesn't happen for IG this well. Like, it still didn't end out very well, but they aren't able to stay in this fight this long if they don't have Ocean Soul, right? And I think there's so many dominoes that fell, but IG were able to chunk back leads here or there. And it was really nice to see from them in those clutch moments, kind of those big stressful moments. You could feel the tension on the Rift.
And I will say, one of the players who might go slightly under the radar in this game in particular is the Shy. I think that in any of the games, or any of the fights rather, that IG were looking competitive in, it was because of the Shy, and they were really living and dying by this Aurora in the late game as to how well it was that he would have been able to perform. And, you know, fortunately enough, in a couple of those fights, he's doing just enough to keep people safe, keep them alive. And in certain other instances, we're looking in positions where actually, well, he's just not quite got into a spot where he can do any damage. And, you know, this instance here where you get R3 from Gwen dealing like 2,000 damage, pretty mental.
And Light's just sitting there, random and Omen completed, full health. This was the moment I thought it was over. We both were like, just go into the game. Ended up that Rookie like did some master classic mind manipulation there. Ends up buying a lot of time.
Yeah, I think that for Waybo, they were caught between, do we want to delay his death timer so that we can look for an end on its own? And actually, if they'd have just pushed and got to this point a little bit earlier, maybe they'd have been able to do something with the very small wave that they had. But this is one of those instances you can see Hostile Takeoff not actually doing anything. I think the Shy in this fight as well danced with the in-between worlds all around Waybo, got away from 2 different instances of damage in 2 instances that Hostile Takeover would have gone for you. But it's Rookie finding the picks, right? Rookie here lands an ulti onto the mid lane, a knock up onto the AD carry, and wins the game for his team.
We said it from the beginning, like, 8-10 minutes in, you give a pick like this to Rookie, he is meant to help carry the game. He is meant to be a hyper carry. And him and Gala today were on one. They were on fire.
They were incredible. Gala, I took a little bit of time in the Xayah game, but that's kind of what you expect from Xayah anyway. Kai'Sa game, again, we were talking about him for a potential MVP slot. I think that in game number 2 as well, he was, again, a real big force to be reckoned with. It was something that Waybo constantly had to try and check, constantly monitor. But I think that Rookie this game, I mean, he probably won't win MVP because he was quite quiet for a large part of it.
Yeah.
But he won them the game, objectively. With that ult, he stole Xiaohu's life. He then knocks up Light. That's the reason that he that IG win this game.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, we're not going to get to see this matchup again until the end of week 6, which is like the second to last week in the regular season. Good. So Rookie does get the MVP there, rightfully so. 4-4-10 might not be the shiniest scoreline, but you'll love to see Rookie dance on him. And from the moment he got that Blade of the Ruined King spike, he knew his advantages.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a really good point to call out as well, is that this wasn't just Rookie dancing in their base, distracting them, keeping them from ending the game. This was also Rookie constantly exerting pressure on the map with ultis forward, with Q3s forwards, with Blade of the Ruined King finished as well.
Yeah, and man, makes a quick night of it here as, we feel like we haven't had, I guess since Monday, haven't had 2-2-0s, but it's crazy what this does for the standings implications and things like that, especially when we talked so much about how much each win matters for these teams, and we take a look at the standings here as well and see exactly where it all pans out. And as we had foretold, fighting for those 3rd and 4th spots for IG and Waybo to try to make it to Worlds.
Yeah, again, we're expecting that AL are probably going to take a little bit of a run through, the later half of this split. Once they've recovered a little bit, expect them to try and make their way into the top 4. Expect JDG to start trying to make their way into the top 4 as well. And then you've got this series between IG and Waybo, who, we've just seen IG come out on top of, but you'd like to think that Waybo are going to be able to try and bounce back as well, as they've already got 3 wins under their belt up against some pretty good opponents. Yeah,
I gotta say, there's still a whole second round robin to explore on what exactly is going to happen. So many different stories. Do you have any thoughts on the day, Rude, as you got to be here for both series? Did it feel like an LPL day? I mean, we had the longest game of the split here in the 4th game of the day.
I think people that have missed that final game have missed a treat. That will be, one of the best games of the split that we have through regular season. Just looking back across it, I think that the series to start us off for the day, again, it's a really exciting idea that JDG might be starting to return to some of their form as well. We talked about the fact that we were a little bit disappointed by Scout, and that now he's maybe making a bit of a return to form. That's definitely something to be excited by.
It is indeed, but before we go, we obviously have to give a huge and special thank you to our Elite Coffee supporters, as Aaron Soup, Mung, Forrest Without, and owners of Vasil Maril. Their pledge financial contributions help level up the broadcast on a daily basis and give back to the cast and crew who's tried to give you this product on a daily basis. Please go give us some love on Coffee. It's a way to directly support the product, and all that love, all that help helps us make graphics like this, helps us make transitions like we had coming into Split 3, and helps everything run smoothly. So huge shout out to everyone of our Elite Coffee supporters, and huge shout out to Rude Dude and Kai sitting behind the scenes producing for the day. It's been a lot of fun to cover this last series with you all, but the whole day was a little bit of a short one, so maybe we'll get some better games tomorrow, but it was fun nonetheless, and we'll see you tomorrow for more LPL action as 2 more best of 3s coming your way. We'll see you there.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear.